Well, hello. Hey there, Tiger Lily, and thank you. It's funny that the affiliate and anniversary congratulations are on for like 48 hours, because from my point of view, it was yesterday. So I guess the affiliation must still be active for like 2 more hours, I think. No, wait, 4 more hours. That's cool. What is that? The shook. Alright then, so I think most things here are set up. Sorry, I'm a little late, everyone. See here. How to do that. There we go. Everything seems to be working fantastic. That means we need to clickety-clack there, move this to this side. Might as well minimize that one. Open up Godot. Make sure it opens up our DIY wizard. And then create as well. Now I can change scene to this one. We'll wait for that thing to activate, and then we'll plan for what we're doing today. So, same as it has been so far, and will be for hopefully the rest of the year. We're doing a minimum of 2 hours of game dev in the beginning, followed by gaming. Now, what I've done previously is having, just everything decided by the time I start, but now one of the reasons was because we can't change category in the middle of a stream over the YouTube side, because I multi-stream to both sites. But what I happened to remember this morning was that one day, I was watching Blind playing Dwarf Fortress, and he switched over from one YouTube video to another mid-stream. And how does he do it? He just stops the stream and starts a new one with a new name. And I sort of realized, that would make my life so much easier as well, because then I don't... Like, the ones we made so far, they'll need to be edited and so on. I need to figure out video editing anyway. But it'll be easier for just vote organizing if I'll do the game dev stream first. Then in the middle, well, on Twitch, I can just switch categories. We'll end the YouTube stream and then restart the new one under the category and with a new name for the game we're going to play. Now, where's the thing? There it is. Hope you're doing well, Tiger Lily. We're having a good time, and I hope what's it called now? The farmer's market on the VS went well. Well, not the A. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Up late. And I hope the Rivet is coming along well as well. Now this one. Oh. Hey there, Krillinair. Hope you're doing well. Happy affiliate day, boy. Thank you. I wish birthdays would be 48 hours as well. It'd be so much nicer. Oh gosh, I had no idea what to do with that car. I've gotten the chassis onto the trailer, which was one of the main challenges of my winter car stream so far. I'm doing the next one next Monday. Wait. I don't think I can. Well, next week anyway, we'll find a day for it. And I got then the trailer with now the chassis on it, but the chassis is upside down, so I gotta get it down from there and flip it without denting it. And then just figure out how to get a job or unemployment benefits or something. So I haven't even started on the car yet. We'll get there eventually. The car is dented to fuck. Yeah, mine will most likely will be, but the goal is, of course, let's try to get it down all nicely. All nice like. And I have no idea what kind of parts there are, how many parts there are. Everyone, I've heard many streamers, because I keep on many of the bros are everyone's playing my winter car right now, so you keep on watching some streams, and I've understood it, yes, that the Rivet is a bit more complex than the Satsuma. Recruiting saying, I'm currently working on a smaller game stuff out of boredom. Sending ministry security in Discord when if you wish to check. Hey, thank you, Curlinair. I'll check it out after stream. I'm not the best at multitasking, so we're gonna do it. I like to keep things relatively compartmentalized as best as I can. I'm bad at it, but even my sad little attempts help me help me just, survive. All good? Glad to hear it. And the Carillion, in case you haven't been here. Yeah, so, and anyone else. So what we're working on is, because this past year, every Sunday, I've been trying to take part in the game jam called the Try Jam, which happens every week where you have 3 hours to make a game, right? So now, this year, instead, we are finally going to start. We start on our first proper long-term game project, which is and the end goal is to get it to a state where I can feel comfortable asking for my money. I mean, like, I'd be happy to make a $5 game. That'll be excellent. We'll see when it gets there. I would love to get it on Steam, but putting it up on itch.io for money would be also worth it. So that is the end goal. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be acceptable. Perfection is the enemy of good. The theme is of a survivors-like game, and with a sort of unique weapon crafting mechanic. Vampire Survivors, I'm closer, I guess, to Brotato, but yeah, with a more unique crafting mechanic. And Carillion says here, doing a clicker game in Raylib. See, yep. A C header to make small game them much easier. Yeah, then Raylib, it does the whole ray casting and so on for you, so you don't have to write those yourself. Clever. A clicker gal. Okay, at some point it could also be fun to just go back to good old C, but I don't know. Yeah, like good old C, unless we'll do like some more like, should we say, classical game dev in that sense. We'll make our own windows, write the code for getting just not calculating which sprites get what and where they're displayed and so on. And no, Raylib handles stuff like making windows. Right, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, how do you put the math on the screen in a visual form? There's multiple steps in between, and that's why you need stuff like Raylib to deal with that, like how to make a window appear, how to have that window have sprites inside, and so on and so forth. Very true, clearly there. Okay. Yeah, I played around with those once or twice. Similar ones. For the old school project from years back. But now, for today, so yesterday we got the core of the circle kind of fun. We figured out how to make the elemental power resource. Yeah. And so now we have some data structures figured out. And the circle in its simplicity should do something. Hopefully it'll work. And today's project is working on the base class and then the 3 types of runes we need for our very first experiment. For example, making a window is just init window size XY, const char pointer, window name. Yeah. Exactly. That is very handy. I mean, just function to give it like, I want a window and it's like, it's this big and I want to be called this. And const char pointer. With name. And so window gets a name and the name will never change. Fair enough. Well, the pointer will never change. I can't remember. What would be a const char pointer? Is it like the string doesn't change? Or the address of the pointer never changes. Either way. Let's see here. So now we look at runes. This is my wonderful, extremely professional game design document. So we figured out the base. We'll have the base, which contains everything every other rune needs. It needs a string for the name. It needs a string containing the address or its sprite for its visual representation. You likely already know this, just saying for this informed on C. A const char pointer would be a constant array, also known as a string. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That was the thing, actually, because it was a const char pointer. That's why I was like, for a second there, I was just wondering, like, wait, because I was thinking, yeah, surely that would be a string you can no longer change because it would be a constant. Rather, but I wasn't sure if it was that or a const char pointer which wouldn't change its. Wait, no, yeah. Either way, no matter which way, what I thought it could be by inform A or B, the end result would be the same, which is a string that is sort of like locked in. Nice. Yeah, in like the Godot, I just define string, give it some text, and it's all good. And stuff like C, you want a string, you have a pointer to a beginning of which a char pointer, which is if it's a very small pointer to a very small piece of memory, we know that is where the string essentially begins. Well, now where does it end? So usually we loop through a piece of string. We'll have it's so the pointer does it points to a piece of memory with it band. So the pointer is this one. Technically, it points to here, the address. It being constant means, okay, we can't change what's inside here. But the point is, this is how then strings work in like C, like lower level languages, is that we start from here and then we look at what's in the next one, because all memory in the computer is in, addresses which follow each other. So they are in a line, in a sense. So start from the first one to keep on going, but how do we know where we end? That is why we have the end of line character, which is traditionally just the value 0. So keep on going, like look at this one, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one, and so forth, until we reach this one, and then we know, okay, so the string ends here, so this is the end of the word we just made. So stop the loop, essentially. And that is how you read a string out from memory. And because if you don't have the end of line, it'll just keep on going. It'll read everything. Everything you can find until it encounters the value 0 somewhere. Which means you get what you get out instead of like a string saying like the words hello. Instead you get gibberish. If that, you might even get like crazy recursive loops and all kinds of bullshit. That is why the end of line is very important. Random details no one asked for. An array is just a pointer to the first item, so yeah, true. Yeah, so what is the difference between a string and an array? Well, use case really. Which function is designed to look into it and deal with it. And most arrays actually do have the end of line character, which is the 0. That is it's a very important character when working in C. It's not the character even. The end of line character, which is represented by the numerical value 0. But sometimes you need a 0 for like math and stuff, so not every 0 is an end of line character. So yeah, you have to be careful with what you write. You can't just throw shit together the way you can in Godot. These more like abstracted languages. More intentionality. Now the base class of Rune needs a name, a sprite. We'll create an enum, I think. Or type. And that way or do we give a shit about the type? I mean, somehow we need to identify the different types of Rune class, so we need to have some type information, and which means they all share it, which means the type information might as well be stored inside the base class. Wonderful. That phase when yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but they're doing the face when and the \0. So the backslash is ignore the next character. So if that is a character that is used as a command, instead it'll be just looked at as its sort of value, if I remember correctly. And that's why how you can have, because often when you write code, you put in your set of quotation marks. Whoop, okay, write that one back. Okay, I should remember how to use the pen. Mostly I use it as pen, but then it has its digital features and I get confused. So I'm an old man at heart. I was born old. So when you give a computer a piece of like text in between these two, then it usually understands, okay, so this is a piece of string that we're going to deal with, and it'll be converted to numbers and so on and dealt as is. If you have just text like this, then it has, okay, now it's a command or information for in the code itself, like a name of a variable and so on. So there's a difference between a string and like variable names. But what if I want to have quotation marks used inside my string? Well, that is when we backslash that in. So you put a backslash first, and then it says, don't look at this, don't interpret the next value as essentially like a command. Let's just interpret it as, what it just what it looks like. So backslash quotation marks will be looks at, okay, as it just quotation marks the symbol. So that's how you can put that stuff in strings. And minor correction, backslash is how you write non-printable characters. Backslash 0 being the ending character, backslash n being the new line character, so on and so forth. Oh, yes. I was right, non-printable. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Yeah, the ending character usually, it isn't just 0, it is, backslash 0. Sorry, it's been a few years since I wrote C. But you're absolutely correct. And the new line, which is, when we press enter, what does the computer do? The thing goes down. But from the computer's point, there are no lines of text. It's just one big line of text. What does that mean? That means every time you press enter, you actually, instead of just like when you press H or M or B to write those letters, you press the enter and you actually write that in the computer, which means new line. Very true. Also works in GDScript. Yeah, I mean, /n works in everything. Technically, I guess. If nothing else, it works in the background, because you can press enter and the line is changed. Ergo, you have written a new line character. It usually you just hide it from the users because it just gets confusing. But if you want to write I'm trying to remember here. I feel like I used new line character not too long ago in something, like possibly even a game or something, where you were given here's a little box. You can write in your text you want to display on a thing. And I think, but I wanted to give it a new line, but enter would just finish the thing we're doing. So you just /n into the text that I was writing, and it actually did do the new line because the computer is reading it, and the computer interprets that as a command to change lines. Anything that will parse it as a new line is also known as non-Gutenberg editors. What you see is what you get. Yeah. And I think in order to make the computer not treat a new line marker as a new line, you'd have to especially make it hey, yo, I want to give a special command to ignore all commands. Don't do what you're told. Do what I tell you. I am your master, not them. As a developer. Anyway, that was enough of me mucking about on that one. Let's go back to the actual thing here. But thanks for the distraction, Culinaire. That was a fun one. But okay, so the base class of a rune class needs a base, sprite, type, it needs to know what is the name of this one, because they will all have a name. They will all have a sprite, because they need to be visually represented eventually. They will all need a type information, so that we can quickly check, what kind of rune are you even, But then every rune will be doing different things. So you're gonna have at least 4 or 5 different classes, I think, eventually. Probably more. But to begin with, we need to make the 3 basic ones. We will have... Let's do this. We'll simplify this because I don't want to zoom in and I'm dumb. The power source. The filtration system. And what is currently under the name projection. But I feel like we will gonna want to find a better word for that one eventually. Hey there, Monoway. Don't do what you're told. Do what I tell you. I feel like the first half negates the latter half of that sentence. That's very true. Sounds like an AI wrote that code. It's not made to make. It's supposed to make sense. It's supposed to feel good. But I hope you're doing well, Monoway. Nice seeing you around. But okay, so the power class, the filtration class, and the projection class, all being subclass extending the Rue base class. Now the base class has, as a base class does, should have everything that is these all three would share. You know, like a name information, a visual, where is their visual representation, and what is their type. Now, yeah, like I said, we're gonna start with 3, and hopefully, I'll try to stick to 3 for a while, because within these 3 we can come up with a lot of complexity before we add the 4th one, which I think will be just like a modifier rune for now, because we'll have multiplier. And that is when we eventually come up with that idea. Or alternatively, you can literally just tell your parser, hey, parse backslash backslash, please. If you're making a parser. You know what? That is very true. Really, now that is actually, I think that would solve it, wouldn't it? That means, but if you do that, you can get around it by then writing. So, you know, if this would be then automatically parsed into backslash or backslash, so now this one is ignored. Well, what if you write that one to begin with, and then the automatic parser would do a triple, which means the first one is, you know, deleted, and then you're still left with a new line marker. Bum, bum, bum. Wait, no, that wouldn't work. I'm dumb. Because it would be, because 2 would turn into 4. How the hell did I do that? Yeah, every one you add gets a friend, which deletes it. So if you add 2, you got... Yeah. I was wrong. And that's why we rubber duck, kids. You're gonna walk through your logic. Because what might feel like a good idea in your head, and then you have to walk through the path, the steps from beginning to end, and you realize, wait, no, that was dumb as shit. And hopefully a parser doesn't re-parse its own parsing somehow, though. Here. Yeah. Infinite backslash. Yeah, well, that is called an infinite loop, and it happens. So let's call it a common bug when deving with C. When you're like, whoops, I forgot to add in an ending condition, and that is why you test, and then after testing, you test some more. And while you have print statements, my favorite debugging method to this day remains the old classic print statement, because then I can see, did it ever enter this state, yes or no? Sort of quickly, like, did it print banana in the terminal? It did. Wonderful. Which means that triggered, so it's not. So the problem is after the print statement. Little llama printf. There we go. Okay. Rune class, we got their base class. The power class needs standard C out, stuff be working, standard end line. Yeah. That's the good shit. Yeah, we never really used printf that much in our code because we weren't in that school allowed to use printf until we had made our own printf, which we then did. That was a fun one. The formatting of the string wasn't the hard part, but some of the math stuff was annoying. Rounding out floats is dumb. Okay, rounding on an int is insanely, like from a float. Yeah, rounding onto what is your easiest float, rounding to a whole number is easy. Because you have your number, say 1.2, you round that. Okay, how do you round? Find out where does it round, up or down? Well, you do plus 0.5, and then you turn it into an integer. Because when you plus that into 0.5, you end up with 1.7. You turn that into an integer, this shit just gets deleted. So you got a 1. So if you got 1.5, which you should be rounding up, well, with add a half to that, it turns into 2.0. Remove the rest, you got a 2. 1.4 turns into a 1.9, which is, of course, a 1. And so on. Easiest rounding ever. Random thought, does printf stand for print formatted or print function? Format. I've always thought formatted. It is format, yeah, it's because print formatted string. Because that's what it does. It formats the string you give it according to the flags you add to the end. Or, whatever orders you give it. Because printf can do a lot of complex stuff, essentially, depending on what kind of flags you put in and so on. What kind of command, here's the string, here's the rule for the formatting, then it does the formatting, and then it prints it. Yes. Print function would be just like name, print name. I do believe it's in the documentation for the printf, print formatted string. It is man pages. Let's check, actually. Love the man pages. Man, printf. There's printf, fprintf, dprintf. Yeah, because other than say formatted output conversion. That's where the keyword for the F. Standard C library include standard inout.h. Then you have, we had to do, in order to make printf, we had to make the forms of printf, and then the constant character, which is we restrict, which means here, so we don't change the original string when we do the printing. We create a new one for the output. Because the printed one then happened on the terminal. Integer output for, what exactly was the output? Format of the format string and so on. Man pages. This is what we use then to make most of our standard library, because we weren't allowed to use the standard library in our school. Because the first assignments were to rebuild the entire standard library. I had a good time doing that. That was a fun one. There we go.
Hello, Hanu. How goes the programming?
Hey there, Knapzor. Going well. I had a fun little question here about, just what does the F in printf stand for? And then we thought, let's check out the man pages for printf, and then we found the information. And every C programmer loves some yummy man pages. And from here we find some delightful things, because in your terminal often you can find you can just do man the function. You can the web pages sometimes might have more information depending on your operating system, which library is getting its man pages from, and so on. But it was always fun because figuring out how to do cat for concatenate files and print on the standard outputs. Because this is cat, if I remember correctly, is what we used a lot for pre-print. Before we made printf, you just cat a lot and stuff. So it was fun to hear the command man cat. Important question: how to man cat? Because you're gonna figure out how that cat works. So you get a man cat. Good times. Kind of can't wait to get it would be really fun to It would be really fun to redo some of those projects. Come in with, let's rebuild what we did then. Do the standard inout library. The standard function library again in C. Or then the other, because there was a more advanced version of the same assignment you could then do later on. I never got around to where you could do, doing the standard library, but this time in assembly. And that could be a fun one. Oh no, not the. What languages are you using? Currently, no, we're using GDScript. We were just talking about C because it came up. Printf Sonamano owns bananas, exactly that. That's some good functions. Yeah, because it formats then the command there for the percentage I, which this would be integer, and the banana count. So it looks at banana, so you give it a banana count, and the banana count would be hopefully, if it's C, yeah. Or depending on how you do your printf, I guess. Do you then do casting? So if you give it a float, or you command out an int, will you put out an int? And there see Chatting on C because I'm currently working. You see, he's working solely on GDScript as of recent, I think. Yes. Are you going to do your own project in C? Well, Knapsor, I mean, at some point, I was just thinking it could be fun. But no, but this one, we're going to do GDScript because we're going Godot. So we got a Godoo. Do the Godoo. But I hope you're having a nice morning. So we're going to figure out the classes for our runes because we got the rune container essentially done. We got the circles. We got the thing. The power resource. But now the rune itself, which is given the power resource file. And I should try reading your answers before adding some more of the questions. Yeah, GDScript. Yeah, Godot script. Which is just, seems to be mostly, it's very Python-esque. I think it's still based on C, so in that way, more than just a little Python-esque. Oh, I think I spilled some. Oh, tragic. Now, the power class is the power output, so we give it the elemental power resource structure. And Raylab also has bindings for Go, C Sharp, Lua, Python, Rust, Zig, and 1,000 others. If you're a day 1 C hater, I got classes at least, but not all C. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, C Sharp, C++. I think I call things all. If it goes to C Sharp, C++, it's still based on the same C because they're just flavors of. It's C with extra added steps. And then you add even more steps on that, and then you get Python and whatnot. In C++, yeah. Yeah, a GDScript is just specialized to work with the Godot engine, and that's why they have things like this. They're custom data structures, like what they call resources, because even their documentation that they say using a resource file for storing stuff is more efficient for our engine because we streamline the sort of serialization of that information rather than using XML files and so on, which you might use in other projects. Now you can use them, but it might be a better way, a good idea for any eventual project, then translate that shit into a resource file just for the engine to be able to handle it, faster, easier, smoother, harder, faster, stronger. Also, C Sharp is not C, it's C-like, but its own standalone language entirely, not inspired more so in Java than anything else. Oh, I did not know that. I would just assume, I assumed from the name, if anything, it would be another offshoot from C. Unlike C++, which is literally non-oopsie. It's a non-oopsie. Sorry. I was thinking, why would it not be? How would that be non-oopsie? Wouldn't C be non-oopsie plus? Because CPP is the one that has the object and OOP being object-oriented programming language, I think, or programming. Original called C with classes. Yeah, and I guess CC, so then because C plus or C++. Yeah. As I worked with in C Sharp because it's faster, finally, and prettier than GDScript. Yeah, practice makes it. I mean, if you used to using language, absolutely. That's what I like about Godot. It's because it's open source and there's so many add-ons and things, so it allows you to do many different things, and use different languages. They have their own language, but now thanks to other people being, especially a lot of Unity developers, because I believe Unity is based on C Sharp. If they want to use Godot, so. There we go. Now it can also work in C Sharp, so they don't have to. So they can use the old scripts they have, the techniques they know, and so on and so forth, and just change engine, but don't have to change how they work. So, very understandable. And a 7 stream streak, thank you, Gonna Tank. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well, my friend. And the most efficient way to write the whole thing in assembly, like Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, it's true. Hell, let's take that idea even further. Yeah, like I was saying actually earlier, that is something I want to do, is do the basic C standard library, which we had to do in school, write all that ourselves, and then we use those functions in later advanced, more complex programming. Is do the same thing again, but in assembly. We'll use fucking assembly and like MIPS. Oh, isn't like MIPS more advanced than assembly? Oh well, either way. Really low level language and try to make like an actually playable game. Wouldn't that be fun? What the? Ooh, thank you for those subs. Only masochist working CPP. My best friend is a CPP enthusiast. He's a masochist, yes. Well, I wouldn't consider myself as much of a masochist. I'm more of the other side of that coin. And I like C++ because, like I said, I'm used to C, so it's a logical progression for me. C# was more difficult, but I've only tried it like once or twice, but it was just the difference of it all. But that was also back when I did everything in C, so just in general, object-oriented was trickier for me. So I like the fact that it allows you to use the language you're most used to, because you can even use just straight up Python in Godot if that is the language you know. Hey, no hypocrisy. Assembly graphics, basically Pong, No. You see, for the graphics and things, we can probably make more complex shit happen. We don't have to do Pong. We can probably use. I was thinking we won't build the entire thing out of assembly. I would want to build like my part in assembly, but I'm not gonna try to figure out the entire freaking graphics pipeway. We're gonna use an external library for that, but we can connect with like higher level languages from a lower language. As far as I know, easy enough. Oh lord, like an AI ad. Ooh, the first AI ad I've seen on Twitch. Ooh, neat. But we're gonna see more of those. And I think I missed something in chat, so I'm gonna read through it quickly here. CPS hasn't go down. On masochist you use the CPP. And I mean, both C and CPP are good and fast languages, but they are obscure. We have much better languages today, like Go. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, Sankira. But the thing is, I'm very early in my journey as a developer, pretty much, and I haven't really found the limitations of lower level languages to really be that limiting just yet. Now, of course, if you're referring to more complex and newer languages having more abstracted things happening in the background, then yes, I do understand that. And also that we have more specialized languages, for not better but janky. Which is why? Still no. Yeah, but hey, no hypocrisy on the YouTube side. I was thinking it'd be fun to just make an assembly project. It doesn't have to be a complicated game. I was thinking more on the lines of the like mini game jams I made. I was thinking more because it would be a fun challenge because I don't know assembly. It'd be fun to learn assembly and to have that, then also to have an end goal for that project, which would be a playable game. It could be Pong for all I care, Just, can I make it work? Now that'll be a fun one. And Go isn't exactly better. I mean, I would say clearly with languages, it always depends, because every language in the end is a tool, and every tool is better for some tasks than another. So that's why it's saying like one language is better than another makes no fucking sense. Because saying hammer is better than saw. I'm like, technically you can smash shit with both. You can break wood with both, but they're specialized. And text adventure, lol? Yeah, that could work. Text adventure I probably wouldn't do, because that means I need to do writing. And, well, I need to do that anyway, eventually, for these projects, so I don't want to I don't want to lose time on that unless I'm working on a larger project, pretty much. I just want to say, if I could make a game with, like, emergent gameplay,
language is the one
much better.
Know how to use best.
That is very true, Gonna Tank. I would very much agree with that one. Yes. But there's always the language wars, people fighting each other. And in the end, they're all tools. It's all fine. They all do the same thing. They make the machine go beep boop in the way you want it to. And depending on what you need to do, some languages are better than others. if you're trying to get a job in a certain field, then find out which languages that field is mostly using, because, they have habits and so on. Because just you learn Go doesn't mean you're I'm going to use my Go language in this other field that they don't use Go. They use, I don't know, I want to go in banking. And, oh shit, now I'm going to learn like freaking Haskell or some shit, Or what was the other one? COBOL. See, you want to make sure you get like paid well for a long time, learn an obscure language like COBOL, and get into banking. Because many banks have ancient computers that they cannot ever turn off, kind of thing, and they run on COBOL because that's what they started with. Because if they change language and shit, you might lose all that banking information. Unless it's basic or equivalent, but it depends on what you need. Well, no, it depends on what you need, exactly. Because if you only know assembly or like basic language, you know what? You have work for you. You have a field there as well, and it is OS level, really kernel level fucking coding. No one's gonna use advanced level coding on the kernel level there. Brainfuck and brainfuck likes are the only ones I'll say any worse than any other. That is very true, really, and I would very much agree with it. And then there's the one that is purely based on colors. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's just neat that you write code with colored blocks. Because essentially you could then make a piece of an image where every pixel is in fact a part of the code, and then we can end up sort of with a picture. Because I think there's also a command to like change the direction, so you could in fact have an actual picture actually be a functional program. And synthetic languages are horrible. Yeah, that is very true. I wouldn't call them horrible. What they are I would call them an art form, because it's neat and it's interesting, which is essentially the core of art. It's neat and it's interesting. Because, what is yours? You see beautiful, like, mountain painting moves you. That goes under neat. You see some modern art, which doesn't make sense unless you have the correct context, and then that goes under interesting. But just like art, they're not made to please everyone. It doesn't have to please everyone. It's just interesting and cool that they exist. Brings me joy. Anything that is not in JS family is okay. You know what? I really need to learn JavaScript someday, because, the world is I'm on the internet. The world is the internet. I need to learn to interact with the internet, and that means I'm going to have to learn proper JS at some point. But I love the fact that everyone hates on JS, especially people who work with JS. And COBOL? No hypocrites on the bank YouTube side asking, really COBOL? Wow. Yeah. I do know that COBOL is a language that is used by no one and nothing except for at least American banks. Large banks have hardware servers maintaining very important information that run on COBOL. And I am assuming it's cheaper for them to maintain that system than go through the entire process of upgrading into anything more modern. And why would they upgrade it? Because as long as there's someone who knows COBOL, they can maintain that shit. And what does it do? It maintains numbers. It doesn't need complex information. It doesn't need any of these abstracted complex languages. Again, we come to the question of, what is a language? It is a tool. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. And especially in a bank that runs on numbers, then have a system that handles numbers. Can it do the math? Yes, wonderful. If they want to interact with the internet, well, they have a separate server that talks to the COBOL, like asks it, can you give me this number? COBOL gives number. And then the more advanced one deals with the whole interact with the internet. Also a safety feature, because now there's a separation between the two. The COBOL doesn't speak to the internet ever. Now you can't hack that shit. I mean, now it's more difficult to hack that shit. Let's just put it that way. And then, of course, but I would imagine one of the main reasons why they would not want to upgrade all that shit would be money. Because if, it's a large infrastructure. Rebuilding a large infrastructure is a costly endeavor. And unlike, say, urban infrastructure, which then degrades and actually breaks and you do have to fix it, like roads, pipes and cables and so on, the computer infrastructure kind of just keeps on working. I say it because no one knows who wants to play with it. it makes it safer in a funny way. It kind of does, as far as I know. But no, I think the safety comes from more the fact that you have this one doesn't have internet connection. This one does, and then these talk to each other through maybe like a LAN network, which you can then secure. So this one, the first one, never gets under threat of direct attack from the internet, and so on. And Yama State's unemployment was revealed to be written in Cobalt because it could not handle the COVID influx and no one knew how to make it more efficient. That's hilarious. I'm sorry I couldn't attack, but that is kind of hilarious. But yeah, if the infrastructure doesn't have to be updated, it won't, because that costs money, and the people who make these choices only look at numbers, and number must go up. And fixing all that shit would make number go down, and while they're the boss in charge, and that would make them look bad. So number must go up instead. Much better that way. Or at least the theoretical number must go up. The promised number must go up. The real number can go up and down, but the promised number must go up. And if they do an actual investment, well, then that everyone knows the promised number will go down. Predictions versus reality. Prediction apparently matters more nowadays. And the funny thing is, we see that, especially in Europe currently, because there's a lot of countries, as far as I know, including mine, that is doing a large amount of, ripping up their streets and rebuilding their sewage systems and pipes and everything all at once. Because every person who has been in charge ever has been like, you know what, we should do a lot of maintenance on our plumbing systems, but number go down. I want promised number to go up, so I'm going to push that. We'll do it in the future. We'll do it then. And not on my term. And eventually, everyone in charge now is like, God dang it. Now you can't push it back anymore. Things are actually breaking, which means you actually have to fix it. And now everyone's sad. There's too much road work. There's annoyingly a large amount of road work happening at the same time in many cities. And all of that could have been avoided if they would have done more maintenance in advance, in small bits here and there, rather than all at once when it all breaks. Spending money means you need to actually use the tax money. Exactly. You have to, because you have to then officially use the tax money there, and you can't, in theory, make more money from it. You actually have to use the tax money in the kind of shit it's meant for, which is maintaining our environment. But like I said, the promised number, the potential of more money must go up. So they'd rather use that tax money on, let's be honest, their friends and their own businesses. Because then, if we invest the tax money if we give the tax money to this company, in theory, they'll bring in more money through taxes into where we live. All at once is better, just not for you. Yeah, it's more about a hot potato thing, but this is with a grenade, and whoever, in the end, someone must catch it, and it all breaks. Shit, now I have to fix everything. It's let's talk about something more optimistic. Well, at least they are fixing it, so that's a good part with the whole pipe network. It's just annoying, but they are fixing it. The tax money is being spent correctly. It would just have been more pleasant for people if they'd done it more in advance. But no, I can't do that. Not yet. We're still drawing this one. What? Okay, so back to it. We've been at this for over an hour. I've written down 3 things. Wonderful. I love it. But that's okay. I was not expecting to get all of these done today, because this phase is thinking. This is drawing. What country do I live in? Oh, no, hey, no hypocrisy on the YouTube side. I'm Finnish. Finland, Northern Europe. Suomalainen. And do you have anything to show? I haven't been able to follow your progress past few days. Oh, well, the only thing I can really show is the thing I made in the first day, because everything else is happening. I'm figuring out how resource files works, all this background stuff. But in the Godot itself, we still have the same testing thing we made. No, not the player, but the level on that first day. And it's F6. Where we have character, we can move around. We have I left the aiming reticle so we can see it move, so it follows the mouse, and we click the button, we do an attack. The attack detects enemy, which is currently just red square. It prints enemy hit. That's all it does. Now, what I'm building on now is the actual sort of like meat and potatoes of the thing, which is the rune magic circle logic behind all of this. Right now, it just a click button, it makes attack happen. You've written down 3 things and you're finished. You need to get set the bar higher, Hanu. I'm not finished. I was born finished. And there's a timer on the attacks. Okay, this is, we click on the remote. So here we see what is actually happening in the scene we are running. And we see if it has a little arrow, it means it contains things. We have the attack container. We click here, we see the attack container. Now it contains that attack, and after a while, it deletes itself. So we don't have infinitely flying attacks spamming the shit. So it deletes itself when it hits the enemy and when the timer has gone, which currently is 3 seconds. So that is the core, because then the first day we wanted just a little like base for testing what we're going to build. And after that, I've been trying to figure out by just talking with people, figuring out the logic for it, and building shit, and trying to come up with the whole... And the runes determine the type of attack, like in Magic. Yes, Sankira, it's more of a like Noita inspired, like if this then that as a logical, like because this is the core of the Magic system that I will do the game itself. It'll be like Vampire Survivors to like deal with what do the attacks do. Well, there's gonna be enemies, they spawn in, you fight them, you get stuff. Hey, progress. Sorry, I'm gonna answer here YouTube as well. No hypocrisy, saying copy the first in game egg, wander around in dark room and find a block. Sorry, that one swoosh past me. Sounds like you're trying to make a joke, but I don't get it. I'm sorry, stupid. And for the Sankira, yeah, so the logic is we could build a magic sort of circle, like, because, think of magic circles like in, say, Fullmetal Alchemist and so on. Now, the idea is the very first thing we're doing is making a simple 3-rune circle work. It will be visually represented as, a circle with 3 runes. Oh, wait, would it be... Layer is invisible. Oh, because we have the wrong layer selected. That's why it's saying that. Oh, that's fine then. So, but in practice, we're going through an array. And we start, and then the logic here, first you're gonna want your power source, which gives power to the magic. Then goes a filter, which because our current power source gives out like just an equal amount of all the elements. Unattuned magic, generally sucked out from the air. Sorry. And now Brooks answers here. Okay, first ever Easter egg in a game, Survivor, I think. The egg was the programmer's name. Oh yeah, there was this one, like, there was a game where you wandered around inside a maze, I think. Then you did something, and then a certain beam sort of changed, and then their name appeared. I think or that was at least in one game. Good old, like, NES, or Commodore 64 era, I think. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, we're gonna have to add it, Easter eggs eventually, all that good stuff. But yeah, so we have a sort of logical if this then that system. So the idea is to have a power source, then which there will be different ones, but in the beginning we'll have your passive outputs X amount of power logic. And I want there to be more complexity, but for that we need to start with something basic that hopefully kind of works. So the power source gives power to the system. Then it goes to the next one, a filtration system, which we use to determine what kind of attack are we making. Because if you put in like all the like unattuned magic into, say, an attack bolt, you'll get nothing. It won't work. That's the logic we're going here. So we need to have a specialized, like a focus on one element. Maybe in later on we'll have different runes which can work with unattuned mana or magic, but for this one we're going to go for this one. So then the filter filters out one type of magic from our unattuned magic, and it gives that one further on, which goes then to the sort of projection rune, what I'm calling it now, which will then determine the shape of our attack. Are we doing a bolt or a beam or some kind of area of effect kind of thing? Maybe later on, hopefully later on, we'll then have you can have with a clever combination of runes, you'll have an attack that shoots out a bolt, and where that bolt lands, there's an explosion, which would be an area of effect kind of thing. Hey there, Kim Stockholm. Good morning to you. And this one turn-based? No. And Manawai asking, there are 3 rune arrays like power shape effect. Kind of, yeah. Yes, pretty much. That is what we're starting with. So the idea is to then eventually add more complexity, like I said. And then more complex circles, as we have with the pentacle here, where the idea was once you have... Oops, sorry, my hand goes outside, so we can't do that. See, we'd have these lines of power going from, like, say, here's the power source, and then it normally would, in this basic rune, circle goes this way. But there's also a connection here. So you could, and this one has a connection here and here. So you can have, like, if this, then that, and then, like, if... And then we could maybe add some more complex logic inside the sort of circle self, where it detects, depending on what on the input, it'll do this or that. So essentially, yeah, we're doing an if this then that, like logical coding based, code block based magic system. Like I said, similar to Noita, except instead of having these pre-made spells, I'm going like more granular, where you make the spell itself. Like how would you make, an explosion happen over there and not where you are? Well, first you have to make sure you have something to carry that information further, and when it reaches that point, then the explosion happens. Like Noita wants? Yeah, exactly, Kim Stockholm, yeah. And yeah, this won't be turn-based. The game will be more, I think, a Brotato, actually. So far is what I'm thinking here. So every level, there's resources you collect when you fight the enemies and so on, because we might have them power sources based on a sort of ammo. You collect magical crystals from enemies, and you might be wanting to prefer something of a certain element so that your initial power is already like favoring fire or something. And fire and prayer increase attack, fire and water kind of negates itself, positive and negative. Yeah, except fire and water would make steam, which could be then useful for if you then combine. First makes it like a steam beam attack, and immediately afterwards then launches like an electricity attack, and then the electricity would be conducted through the steam to where it's going. So I want there to be positives and negatives, balancing out, interesting cross behavior and so on. And if you know programming and physics, magic becomes trivial. Magic is just, it's the same. It's just it is a magic is a magical way of transferring power, skipping some mundane things like thermodynamics and like copper wire for, it's just, things happen. It's not about magic becoming trivial in this way. And of course, because we're going to start with the 4 elements of, the classical Western 4 elements, fire, air, water, earth. But I'm hoping to actually build a more complex elemental system, where we'd have, there's some of the more the esoteric ones, light and dark and so on. And I was thinking it could be fun where we have an underlying more complex system, which in the beginning might not be fully revealed to the player, but they start about learning about the 4 classic elements. But then as they progress, they might learn more, get more runes for the more like, the more advanced runes, if you will, and understanding more of the magic theory behind everything, where you find out, for example, that it turns out fire and ice magic, so hot and cold, they're actually the same magic, aren't they? It's the magic of entropy. More entropy, less entropy, and so on and so forth. We can then make these a more interesting magical system. And that's why currently I'm trying to build everything to be sort of modular and contained in a way so that it'll be as painless as possible when we eventually get to the point where we can add complexity into the system. Right now, I'm just trying to make even these most basic building blocks kind of work, hopefully. Fun fact, there exists a story, eternal hiatus though, called PhD in Sorcery. I think there's multiple similar ones that I've read on Royal Road at least. And some of the magic theory ideas I got from... I started writing again, Silver Seeker, in one of his earlier chapters. I think he started publishing them, so the earlier books are gone. I think they're on Kindle Unlimited now. But in one of his earlier books, the main character, being a sort of reborn mega wizard, was explaining how in his heyday, the more like advanced magic theory had made new discoveries in the realm of magic, where they realized that there's actually there's a different kind of underlying elemental system, which explain how certain things that people thought were separated were in fact the same thing, and certain things that they thought was one was actually two, and so on. And PhD in Sorcery is on Royal Road. Silver Seeker, and the silver, because I think that's the guy's name, and his first name is written with Y, so Silver Seeker. I've had fun with that one. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. But yeah, this is the idea here. I'm gonna change this one into this one. Yeah, so it's, I think, is the book's name. He wrote it on another site when I first read it long ago. Then he ported it eventually to Royal Road, and I think most of the stories is like stopped. It's no longer there because he made a deal with Kindle, got it published, so it's on Kindle Unlimited now. On Royal Road is only the newest chapter he's like currently writing, and it's there for an X amount of time before he's contractually obligated to remove it from there because it's going on Kindle. Sylvan, I don't know. It's up. The main character is an undead wizard. They get sub? Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's understandable. You make a publishing deal with a publishing house. The publishing house is going like, well, we're publishing this for you, so you can't like just go then publishing it yourself elsewhere, because then what the fuck? Where's my money? Why am I doing this for you if you're also giving it to that guy for free? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, that's the nature of a publishing deal. Okay, I'm back to chat. I think I missed a little bit. Like Noita wants yes, and my magic is just the hacking the world essence, or just essence. Manoa is saying yes, yeah, pretty much. It's just, it's just physics with some skipped over steps. And great idea. Thank you, Kim Stockholm. I'm glad you like it. If you know programming, physics trivial, and find fact, there's a story. Magic, by most definitions, do not have rules. That makes it harder than physics. Well, Sankir, I mean, that depends, really. A magic system with no rules is wish fulfillment. I find those boring. I think a system with boundaries is much more interesting and fun. And then basic elementals, advanced elementals, that kind of stuff, yeah, or underlying, because like I said, I have ideas of bubbling in the back of my head. I can't verbalize them all yet because we need to see how this goes, and then I need to start writing them down and letting all that, let's say creative juices flow. The ideas sort of flow. And no hypocrisy, the magic is just technology we don't understand yet. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I can't remember whose quote it is, but it is a very famous one. The difference between magic and sufficiently advanced technology is kind of none, Currently, we could pretty much call magic be a complex enough system we don't understand. But for me, I would like to think of magic just as a sort of alternate physics where you have a new way of just transferring energy from point A to point B, and energy containment in like certain place, in certain spheres, and so on. So it's just, physics plus, if you will. So I like to play around in my sort of conceptual things with existing physics, and then adding stuff that will allow me to do, like, well, how would a fireball work? Like, for example, then I like the depiction they have in D&D, where it's a small sphere of energy shot to its destination. When it reaches its destination, it explodes. Okay, cool, that makes sense. So it's a small contained unit of high energy. It reaches its destination. The containment is broken, and that high energy is released, and explosion happens. Makes sense to me. That's like, and then the firebolt would be like, okay, it is like localized container for entropy, but it's inefficient, that's why it keeps on burning. It leaks. That kind of stuff. I think I stopped yet, and agree. Thank you, everyone. I think I caught up now. Yeah. Yeah, Silver Seeker, book I read. Another one who does really interesting stuff with, to say, the realization into reality of extremely abstract things is Ostensible Mammal. I need to finish the last chapters, but I don't know if he actually finished the book. But I should finish those last chapters, see how it went. But his book called God damn, I read it for so long. It's one of my absolute favorites, and then I keep on forgetting the name. But yeah, he had really cool stuff. God clads, where people they killed gods. I had killed gods, and then they sort of used the remains of God and attached them to their kind of soul and became kind of immortal. And then you had this upper class of immortals fighting each other, and everyone else was just chaff. And it was really cool, the world, because it was magic in an extreme sci-fi, wielded by essentially cavemen who had been given AK-47s, because they didn't understand how it all worked. And he was like, and I liked the fact that he kept on, as the story went on, you started realizing more and more at how interesting and complex the world was. And then the magic, because it was based on like gods and mythology, it was all based on, just narratives and so on. And it was wild and weird, and I loved it. Sufficient advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. From Arthur C. Clarke. Thank you, Manaway. You're exactly right. And the problem I have with magic is that most authors do not care about any consistent mechanic behind that. For them, magic is things happen when plot needs, but I like more the approach of there are rules magic follows even if I do not know them. Yes, absolutely, Asankira. I agree with that one. Like I enjoy the first type to a point, like say Harry Potter. It's a good one. It's a fun story. I enjoyed it, especially because I was a kid when reading it. I grew up with Harry Potter almost literally because they came out once a year, and I was like close to that age. And Harry Potter's magic makes no fucking sense, but it's fun, and that's the most important thing in a story, though, mind you. A story has to be fun. In a game, though, I very much. But also in stories and so on, I then enjoy the fact if, magic has rules and it follows and it makes sense. And that is sort of what I want to make here. I want to make a rule-based magic system. And also because, okay, I'll be honest here. If this thing works, I might then export this concept into other game modes. I'll make my own freaking RPG game. I've completed my C clicker. Well done, Krillinair. You have achieved far more than I. In the last 20 minutes, I've done nothing except talk to chat and have a good time. Drink increasingly cold coffee. And who knows? Actually, to be honest, I've had a number of ideas that are all based on these rune magic system. Right now we're doing this system because if I pivot already, I'll be annoyed. So we're going to make this one. And in the future, it is quite possible, if not even straight up likely, that I may end up trying to make multiple games using the rune magic circle system. The good thing is, if we get this into work in this game, it should hopefully be easier to transport. Because I was thinking, hey, we can even have a shopkeeper game where you are a wizard out of the school, and now you begin your new your shop of magical items, and people come to you with commissions. I need a heating plate, a magical heating plate for my kitchen, and now you have to design one using the runes you have, access to the resource you have, and within budget. And then maybe later on you'd have mass production, selling more of those, and so on. But you can take that idea further, because then you can come up with all these, instead of magic being all these cool fireballs and throwing. You think more realistically, well, if we have this this sort of magic system in real life, what would you use it for? Air conditioning, cooling, food preservation. There's all these mundane, interesting challenges, technical challenges, but now you have to figure out a rune-based solution for them within budget. And when I say Ming, when do I say Ming when I meow at my cats? I don't know. The cats are affecting your brain with the brain waves. They're going you don't say that. That's our word. You don't meow, you Ming. Who knows, man? Cats are wild and strange creatures. They do things to you. Ming. If I made up a language, Ming would be my word for meow. I mean, in Finnish, how do you write meow? That is Finnish meow.
Hello, Mustachio. Here for the lurks today, my man.
Okay, meow. Well, hello there, Ugla. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Mr. Mustache Appreciator, and thank you for the lurk. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a most wonderful day, my friend. I think meow. This is more closer to. Maybe you could do it. We can lose the I. We just say just Mao, which is also very Finnish, like how cats say something. Mao, Mao, Mao. And the meow is closer to Swedish than Finnish. And from Mao, you even go then to now, like now. Also sounds cat-ish. Or M to N. random other language. See, and what you're observing right now, my friends, is why I need to do this shit on stream. It's called procrastination. Now, power class, what does it contain? And I realize all of these things do need at least a container for, I'm assuming they'll need it for the, we'll do just there, the elemental power resource structure that we made. I do love procrastination, it's very true. Cat trolls in game confirmed. Not yet, but maybe. But I guess they'd be enemies, so gotta murder those cat girls. And steal their chunks. Cat chunks. To fuel your magic. Or something. Who knows? I mean, I guess in the end, if we do that and we have a shop, there's a shop you can visit to buy things, I guess we'll have to have a cat girl be the shopkeeper because, you know, why not? Turn your enemies into cat girls. Cat girl magic. Oh, that sounds funny. Maybe, who knows? But okay, I guess we'll have to have the generic fan. So fan service is important. That is very true. So yeah, that's what I think. Like, all right, we'll have to have a cat girl shopkeeper. Needs to be done. That reminds me. You know, if I had a large amount of money, I'd get a powerful enough rig to deal with the streaming coding and a separate one then for the gaming, and the streaming coding would also then run bots. And what I would do if I had all the money, I would have a VTuber engine running here at the same time, and it wouldn't do anything. There would be a redeem for, like, you know, turn streamer into cat girl or something, and then pop cat, you know, ears pop up, and then they'd like wiggle the way they do in proper VTuber stuff. I mean, it could be fun if we just put the solid ones similar to all the cool stuff Casual does, but I don't think you know, how does he do that? By having a two computer rig. Because even with my super simple system, as we saw with Stationeers and so on, there's lags every now and then. It's an old rig, a decade, but it runs.
Meow, mo.
Yeah. Well done, Creator now. Meow meow. Because the LM Power Res being in the base class would probably make sense. Well, essentially it is marked here currently just as a container. Because what does the power class do? It has an input. Then the input would be an empty. We'll call them, short them out to LMP for now. And then it does something to the LMP. It inputs its. Well, it shoves in the power. So if you do input power and it shoves it in there, and then it outputs that one. So that is essentially what it does. Now the complexity of the input power here is what we'll then have to eventually work on. Currently, we'll just have a passive 100 units of total power. And I do believe inside the LM Power, we already put the function to help with that, where where it is like input, you know, unattuned, and it looks at how many elements are in existence, and then divides the input power by that and spreads it through everything. So we have a total, and this is the super equal distribution, which we'll sort of start with. So input power goes in there. So in that case, it doesn't actually need to have a container for the LM Power Res, because the function inside would have the LM Power be an input, and then as a return value, return the same one. Wait. Do we need to do that? I don't think we would need to return it.
Mau Mau. N-Y-A-A-N-Y-A. Mau Mau. Mau Mau. Mau Mau. Neo Neo.
Nice work curling there. I like that one. Heckin' the English GTS. Yeah, the Finnish GTS did handle the meow meow pretty okay. I wonder what we would say Nua. Hard to say. N-Y-A-N-Y-A. hey, instead of saying nya. But the power class does this, and I think with the way we have it set up, this is acceptable. And I do believe that the GD script handles all of these things using references and pointers. So if we give the power class the LM_power array, and it does changes, it should change the original, so we don't even need a return class here.
Meow meow, nia nia, meow meow, meow meow, mau mau, meow meow.
See, yeah, the Finnish one handled it better. Heck, in English AI-based language, don't know shit. But I think we'll still have an input and an output for this one, even though we'll try if we can skip the output, because if we can edit the original and have a return value, that would be amazing. A Finnish one with a perfect pronunciation. Finnish supremacy, confirm. Even in AI-based language models. Because I'm using the Google Cloud TTS. It's a paid service, but the good thing is, unless I'm running a freaking call center, it rounds down to 0. I think Thor from Pirate Software uses the same service, and he deals with he has a large audience, a lot of TTS happening. And I think he himself said at most he's had to pay cents because he had enough TTS usage for it to round up to an entire cent or 5. So far they keep on sending me bills. Here's your bill. I look at the bill. It's nothing. Nice. So it's handy. And they keep on updating the system. So sometimes the voices might change, but also they have a very broad level of list of voices, which I should look into, including the lady from Satisfactory. The AI voice is a Google. It's a Google TTS has that one. What's her face? Can't remember her name right now. And then the filter class takes in LM_power, and it does changes and it returns it, but it doesn't return it here. So if we can make changes to the original through reference, that means the filter class would then it needs its not A, it's filter dict, the dictionary for the filters, filler, applies that to this one. As a return value, gets a filter DP. And where's that? Oh no, I can't see it. It is too close. I have become blind. There we go. Close enough. And the and this would be the return value. No matter what, this is how it needs to be. But because we need to have 2 outputs essentially. So I was wondering, would it have to be an array? Which how I've designed it so far, which could be, that would be easy enough, I guess. Return the filtered, the LM_power array. And the filter just adds, in the end, it's filtered. Then the same array with both of them. It's given to the production class. Because that would be better. Because then when the circle is giving out the list of elemental power, it doesn't care who it's giving it to. It doesn't deal with any of it. It's just the middleman. So if it's an array, we can add more to it, remove from it. They're saying you should do a 2-hour game jam in C sometimes, perhaps. You won't be able to compile the web, most likely. Be a fun project. Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. It would be fun to do those things. Now this one then gets the LMP. It grabs the filtered version. No. Removes it from the array. Gives the original back. Because after the circle is complete, there should be some waste energy in some form left. And that is what we are using to calculate the cooldown. So we have efficiency mechanics here as well. The more efficiently you are making use of all the magic or getting rid of it somehow, you can bring down the cooldown of your spell. That is the original theory. And it grabs and then we'll call that just gen attack. And it uses the information of what it is and the elemental power to give information to the attack manager to generate attack somewhere. So we'll have to have some sort of form of information who owns the array. Huh. What's bad memory, yo? Buffer is overflowing. Bum, bum, bum. Bad sector would be a better reference. It happens, man. No worries, really now. Which means we're gonna redraw a little bit of logic here. Bye. Yes, the LM power goes. LM power goes in, LM power goes out. Can't explain it. There we go. So the filtered is then added in to the elemental power here. So we need the filter class has a filter dict. Also, eventually more complexity will be added to all of this. So now we're just making, like I keep on saying, the most simplistic blocks we can imagine. And pro tip, don't try learning decoding things while sick. Don't worry too much about deadlines when sick, let's put it that way. I mean, if you made something that doesn't work or it's kind of crappy, it's still practical experience for the brain. You know, don't worry about it too much. At least you tried. And eventually, failures teach us a lot. I am currently sick. I assume as much securely now. I hope you're doing well. I hope you get better soon. Sorry. The words, they failed me once again. But okay, but it's still, I'm looking at this one. We need functions to deal with within the class where do the thing. They all input and output the same thing. I'm wondering if I should put that function inside the base class and then have each rune overwrite that with its own functionality. That way we can essentially make sure the logic of the circle will always work because they will all have the same function with the same name and so on. Throat hurts. Why do I crave chocolate milk right now? Because it's freaking delicious. That's why. I know, especially if your throat hurts, it's a nice cooling, slightly thicker, slightly more viscous drink. And especially when you're sick, your body usually wants more energy and you want sweet things because sweet things are high caloric and dense. I hope you find some tasty chocky drinky there. Right. So we know right now the logic, which works. We're gonna write down a pop here. It doesn't actually do a pop because or does it? Ah well. The logic is the same. I don't know if pop is the correct. We'll do it like that, so slightly more lovely. Because it removes the second filtered elemental array there. Well, I can see problems for the future, but you know what? They're not the kind of problems we need to think about now, because if I worry about future logic already, that'll be dumb, because then I'll prepare for a future that might not exist. So first we got to build something simplistic, that it's good enough, and then from there we worked forward, and maybe my current predictions will come true, maybe they won't. So no point in trying to overcomplicate the system too much. Okay, so input power would be essentially a variable and function. So input power would be variable for this one, so we can start. Filter dictionary, yes. And within it, do the thing. We create one of these and we add it to the array of lm power. So in that sense, no, we don't need this one at all, because none of them will ever contain the elemental power resource. They're only taking it as an input and then giving it out. They never have their own elemental power logic. Except the closest would be the power class, if it would then be inputting different kinds of power, but that is for a later point in time. And the filter class has a dictionary of filtered elements. Now these two might eventually will need a second resource type, pretty much, because I want to be able to like generate empty empty resources with all the elements. And I was thinking, or it might be that they get their own LM powers, so we can generate using the init the value here. Okay, we'll now do activate rune func pass in here pretty much. Random thought, why do so many people assume lactose-free milk tastes different? Lactose tastes like nothing. It's just milk, but it doesn't leave a weird feeling in your mouth. Context, I'm lactose intolerant. There is a small difference in your, mouthfeel taste. Because lactose, if I remember correctly, is kind of like one of the sugars in milk, and the lactose intolerant people can't process them properly, so the lactose-free milk is like you've taken that, was it a sugar or protein, and it's been like pre-snipped into digestible pieces. Meh. Hard to say. We have a lot of lactose-free products here in Finland, so I've been enjoying both the lactose-free and the lactose-full ones for ages. I myself am not lactose intolerant. In fact, in the Nordics, we are, in general, more lactose tolerant than anywhere else in the world, thanks to a genetic mutation that happened over here thousands of years ago. Lactose is sugar? Thank you, Manaway. That's what I thought. Mouthfeel, yes, but taste? I cannot tell any difference. Well. Oh, there we go. Now then. So the power class, we have this one as a sort of like prototype, essentially. Good old. The prototype in here, and they will all then overwrite this one with their own functionality. And and then you'll have variables for, we'll do their attack. Sure, now good old deets, the details. Yeah, the filter dict, the function that does that one, you just put in the power, you do the filtration, you remove the filtered information, and then you generate an attack. In fact, using something like a pop there would be perfect, because it will then always use the newest one, and if there is no filtered information, then it will end up using the raw information, which then should generate like an anti-attack kind of thing. Or like just negate the thing. somehow. How would we detect that? I guess in the beginning we'll just have like if array length is 1 or is not 2. If array length is less than 2, then do nothing and return. Pretty much, I think so. If I recall, lactose is basically a big cluster of sugars. Your body needs lactase to break it down into usable sugars, and as you grow from baby, your body stops or producing lactase, and your body just can't use it without lactase. Yes, pretty much, yeah. It's a more complicated sugar thing, and the evolutionary idea makes absolute sense. It is to make adults stop stealing the baby's food and focus on eating external food. But then, we started harvesting milk from other animals, and breeding cows to produce large amounts of it because it's handy, and we can use it to make cheese and things, which then messes with people a little less, and fermented milk products and so on, which is also fixes the lactose issue because then the bacteria eat the milk, the sugar first. And then in certain places, especially in the northern Europe, there have been like genetic mutations which stop the lactose intolerance from forming. That is why in Northern Europe we have, I think, the largest population of lactose-tolerant people. We just built different. Milk. But yeah, the concept is here. I was hoping to do at least some coding today, but we are approaching 2 hours slowly, but surely. So let's have a look at the Godonus. First we clickety-clackety on the save button, so we don't actually, in case, anything goes tits up, we don't lose this. And yep. We go to the script tab and we have the rune base here. We drink our increasingly cold coffee. Finally finished. I'm the kind of lactose intolerant that only liquid lactose bothers me. Yeah. Are there many like then solid lactose ones? Because if you think about, yogurts and quarks and kefir, other things, because they're essentially Envili, which is a kind of yogurt thing. It's made of, it's pre-digested milk, if you will. You got your milk, you put in the bacteria you want. It eats the sugars and stuff from the milk, and it produces, which I guess for it might be, you might consider waste. And it changes the nature of the milk, and in doing so, it has now devoured the problematic lactose, and it's oftentimes it then breaks down other things, and its output is something we then ourselves can produce. Like how nutritional yeast is good because it produces B vitamins and things, all that stuff. They're called vitamins, vital minerals, and they're vital because they're something we ourselves cannot produce. Just like, there's vital fats, there's vital proteins, I think even, that the body can't produce, but there are no vital carbohydrates. And I'm happy I can eat solid lactose. Cheese is so delicious. True. Does cheese actually have lactose too much in it to be a problem? I don't know. Because you'd think in the cheese making process, it might lose some of that lactose. But I guess that would depend on the cheese. Like blue cheese and white cheese and that kind of stuff. Because there you have had an external, like in blue cheese, a fungus go into it. And wouldn't that eat the lactose for you? Hard to say. I don't know. And yes, many lactose intolerants cannot eat the cheese. A tragic fate indeed. Most tragic. Cheese is delicious. A world without cheese is no world indeed. Back up that way. Stick his neck, grab the thing. Good old wrist guard. Clickety-clack that in place. Then it goes away. And we are now, once again, mouse bound. BRB, hey, no worries. Thanks for hanging out, Krillionaire. So, what we wanted here to do was we'll do this one. So, prototype for rune activation. Override in all runes. Rune. for the rune activation of all runes, and then we do a func. We'll call the func rune activate underscore rune, and has an output of elemental power resource, has an input of a PR, yes. The element array, which also means again, we might be able to skip the entire output part completely. Then we do here just we do a print. Ooh,
Sonoff 10 OMG. Sonoff 10. Need
Holy
some
shit.
TP.
13
Sonoff
months.
10 OMG.
Thank you,
Sonoff
Giptero.
10.
That's amazing.
Need some TP.
Thank you very much. Oh, again, lovely. That's fun. We have fun one, yeah. All the way since the beginning, so it has been because they're now on the month 13 because it's only been 12 months, like 1 year since a beta affiliate. So now the 13th month has begun. Now we do a print in the terminal where you just print a simple string of prototype rune activation triggered. Then we do a pass, and then we do a return elemental R. Now, everything should be, like I said, functioning through the references, so we might be able to skip the entire return part, which would be nice and handy, especially because if we send back and forth just an array filled with elemental power resources, that'll be handy. So now we have a prototype. That makes more sense. And we had name sprite type, which currently is string undefined to do enum internal. Yeah, we'll do an enum for those. Double check. Did I have anything yet? Name sprite type. That's all we can come up with. So then we go into here. Inside resources. Now then, inside runes. Create new script. It is and the template here inherits rune base, and we'll do a power underscore power source power source class. That's rune base. Nice. Class underscore name. Man, my hands are covered in scratches. Such a life for the cat owner. That is very true, now. The kitties, they do love their scritchies and scratchies. And the class name here would be just... we have rune base, then we have rune... there we go. Rune power source. Extends rune base. So now we have a entire class system for making multiple different kinds of rune power sources. So For this one, we'll unlock variables in the beginning, and currently we'll just have for this one, well, an input power of type float for now. We'll do hashtag banana. No. Oh. I've been triggered by this so many times, so I recognized it's happening. Wrong one. Exit the song I don't like. So we'll do crazy full shuffle next. Okay, good. There is a music happening. Wonderful. So the input power here is a float, and we'll have a it can't be a float, can it? Hashtag big old to-do. To-do. And new resource type for no, I'm dumb. It is an elemental power resource. One. And you know, I'd love to get an old CRT monitor and make some game to the CRT, and take advantage of the quirk for pixel art, of course. And CRT monitors aren't the easiest to come by these days, so that's very true. And both prohibits you, CRTs are cheap. We mostly suffer to find VGA GPU today. Yeah, well, so here I am. The problem, I mean, it depends on where you live. Not everyone has old CRT monitors anywhere to be found. Many places they just went to the dump. They've been destroyed some way or another. But maybe, you know, secondhand stores, that kind of stuff. Now the VGA, yeah, mine knows. Hey, I got my 10-year-old machine. I have this one. I do believe this screen is attached with a VGA. No, this one, because this is an old TV. Well, hello there, Mahtis. Hope you're doing well. Hienoa affiliate anniversary. No, kiitoksia. The official anniversary was yesterday, but yeah, it's been a heckin' year since Twitch decided I was acceptable enough as a streamer to pay me money to share with me their spoils for putting ads on my content. In the southern USA, technology is notoriously shittily taken care of, so a lot of the old tech around here is in a dump or in pieces. Ooh, Sankira sharing some tips and tricks. I would try to ask in the nearest school. That's very true, actually. I guess many universally government-owned facilities usually don't just throw everything away. If nothing else, they know that, you know, if it ain't broken, don't throw it away just yet. Because, you know, something else might break, so it's good to have even a shitty replacement than no replacement. Now, the input power here, being an elemental power resource, then you know what? We can have to do an init one. Then we'll have a variable, and it is, for this one, we'll call you just total power. Right, naming schemes go fuck. There we go. Let's fix that one. So the good old float of 100. Then we'll underscore init. So as we initialize this one, we'll have. Oh, and also a font. So the game knows what's what. Now the input will then have for the init, we'll have new underscore total underscore power. Power, which would be a float, and we have a default value of total power. Because inits need defaults always, if I remember correctly. Expected double comma after function and declaration. Oh yeah, whoop. And we whomp, and there's no output for an init, and we do total power equals new total power. That is very circular. So we'll have a default value here of just 100. And you shall in fact be then in this way unto the declared. And when it comes into existence, then the input power equals, or is assigned an elemental power resource dot new, and then the for different kind of inputs, power inputs, they would have to have a saved information of what kind of output they have. So in that way, yes, we'll need the elemental power resource here. And we're doing it ugly and an ugly janky solution here, but it should hopefully work. And we do then an input power dot add Unatuned magic total power. Because this way, when we in the code initialize this, we can there change our current unattuned maximum. If we give it no information when we create it, we just do new, then it'll create one with an unattuned power of 100. Heckin'. Now, then we do func, and we look at activate rune with stuff. Go into rune base. We currently just look in here. Copy paste that entire thing in my bulb. There we go. So what do? Well, we look at elemental array. We're assuming that it's empty here. More work than I could care to put in. Talking to people is hard. Well, that's why you send an email, because they will answer you eventually, because they're understaffed and overworked. And oh, really, if it has some HTML5 support, you can make a C game for Jam and put them on the web thing. That could be a fun one, actually. Trillionaire. But there's a reason I was using Godot for the game jams. The 3-hour game jams is because it comes with a lot of tools. I can just like blah 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 blah, and it works. If I would have to do this in C, I can't make even the simplest game in just freaking 3 hours. Meetings, BRB, thank you for hanging out, Sankira, and I hope the meeting goes well and is not insanely painful and boring. You never know with those guys. So, the elemental array that we get as an input. Oh, and then we just return element R. Because it's fine, you know, nothing changes there. Oh. Why is the rum? Oh, well, if I only had some rum. But no. Not on this fine day. Alright, so element R. And we need to put our input power into the element array. But the question is, do we care about the element array being empty? Because if there is, what if we had two power sources next to each other, right? They should keep double power. Not make multiple arrays. The only reason for there to be multiple elemental power thingamabobs is for post-filtration. So, we need to write another function inside the elemental array power resource itself. And in this one, no, the elemental power resource, not the array. The array here, simply we check a thingamabobby. Where we check if element R dot is its size. Yeah, I keep on always forgetting somewhere where there's different places they use size or they use length. I use len for all my array and stuff. Like length is how many things are there in there. These guys use size. Now, if elemental R size is greater than, greater than 0, which means it has something in it. They might even actually have, let's have a quick look at it here inside arrays and their documentation. Do they have a not empty? These are the constructors. We'll look into making our own cool constructors one of these days. That day is not today. Append, assign, v search, clear, count, duplicate, erase, fill, filter, find, front, get, typed, built-in class name scripts, has, and hash, insert is empty. Returns true if the array is empty, see also size. Yeah, so we can use size, but it just counts the array. But I think we're gonna use is empty in this piece of nonsense. If element if element r dot is empty equals true. If it is empty, then elemental R, and is it add, is it insert position? God dang it. So back to look at the arrays. How did I just like stick a thing in there? Append the right array to the left operand, creating a new array. This is also known as array concatenation. Array 1 is 1, 2. Yeah, that's not what we want at all. Append, probably is append in it. There it is. Whop. Appends value at the end of the other array, alias of pushback. Append an element to the end of the array, see also push front. That's at the beginning of the array. So now, okay, now I'm gonna think, okay, well, should we just use push back and push front because of the extra clarity? But append will work for now. Oh, it won't. Then we push back the in. You know, actually, it doesn't really matter because it's fucking empty. So in this one, we append. I'm just overcomplicating shit as I do with our input power, which is a elemental power resource. Excellent. So the input power here, when we initialize this thing, calculation happens, which is meh. And then we have something in here, then we append. Because thanks to init, this will never be empty. Then else elements are no. Yes. And the unfiltered shit should always be in spot 0. The element R in spot 0 does a thing. Now elemental powering, so we have get filtered, set element, unattuned add unattuned magic, and then we'll have func add to unfiltered there we go. Now what does add to unfiltered do? Well, we get as an input new underscore unfiltered of the type elemental power resource. So now we want to add that elemental power resource to this one. And the elemental power dictionary here does never have the total. It's separate. It'll always have only the elements. So we can have 4 LM in underscore elemental power underscore get filtered, get total. I'll add here another func because we need for this bullshit to work, which is get underscore element yeah, now that should never kind of happen, but it'll be okay. Get elements. I am back and just slightly more dead. Ah, very tragic. Welcome back for the ad, everyone. I hope the meeting was not too horrifying. You never know. Those meetings can be, very meaty, or lack content. Well, they can get a little stressful, eh? Now, we have the unfiltered. So what we do var new underscore new unfiltered cast into a dictionary equals new unfiltered dot get underscore elements, because that is how we get from ourselves the new unfiltered, the new one, and then the new unfiltered dict, so the dictionary. Yeah, that's fine. Then we return a copy of the elemental power, or technically a reference to it, not a copy. Now we have those. So for LM in our own elemental power LM plus equals, there we go, plus equals new unfiltered underscore, the dictionary LM. Because we'll have 2 copies of a similar dictionary. We go through each keyword in time using the for, and we look in our current elemental power, we find that value, and elemental power plus equals, so in that value equals itself plus the new one. And that way we have adding a new bullshit to the unfiltered. And once we're done with all of that, you do a calculate total. Because, well, now there's more shit here, and calculate total just, calculates our new total for LM in elemental power total plus equals elemental power LM. Lovely. Save. Fix that shit, and not the base, but the power source. If the array is empty, which it should be, we append the input power, which is what we want to do. If it's not empty, then we find the elemental power resource in array spot 0, which is where we should always have the unfiltered sort of raw input here. Plus equals, my beloved. I know Krillionaire, I love it. It's such. And also, there's one thing I do miss from good old C in more advanced languages. We can't do plus plus here, as far as I know. Doesn't seem to want to work. Plus plus is so nice, because that equals just, It's same. It's a shortening of essentially plus equals 1. Add a 1 to it. Just no. Go forward 1. Minus minus same 1. Just take a step back, which is handy for, especially when you're doing bit magic and so on. Bitwise logics. Yep. It's really nice. I do approve. I do enjoy those. Now, so else here, element array is 0.0 dot add to unfiltered the input power. Because we just made and we called it add to unfiltered. Add to unfiltered this power. And once we're done with everything, we return the elemental array, which has. Yeah. So now in either situation, the unfiltered the unfiltered elemental power resource will remain in spot 0, which is what we want. Then we look at the root base. Then we want to look at the filtration. Inherits Rune base. And not a new script, but a I'm gonna rename that power source class. It's bad. It will be rune underscore fashion underscore class. And currently we're also just adding these things here as variables and functions, but we're gonna have to add a certain special forms of them. We're using I believe the export, so that if once we create the sort of resource object in the game, the thing, then we give it the script of these classes and so on, then we can create multiple the runes themselves. Terve. Well, hello there, Soulsguard. Hope you're doing well. Nice seeing you around. Now let's see here. We have then a class underscore name, which for this one will be rune filtration. Car, what the frickety frack? What? How did I write car when I was supposed to write funk? I left them finished to celebrate the release of my winter car. Nice. Oh, that is a good one. Expected opening bracket after function name. That's why I wrote car, because it wasn't a function, it was a variable. It was a var. So double fuck up on that one. Yes, that would make me sad too. You know, it's generally hilarious to me that we made a plus equals a shorthand, then made another shorthand for the same thing. I don't know why my first thought was the only Russian I knew. I'm proud of that one. Yeah. The devil's penis in my anus makes me sad. Is essentially what he said there in Finnish. Shikabliat. Now, if we look at the elemental stuff here, I'm gonna sneakily yoink this one here. We don't need you, but we can have the filtration deck be a copy of it currently. We'll have to make this one a more sensible thing eventually. Shkabliati is my reaction to most of C. Yeah, that is usually how it goes. But now the filtration dict is here, then we'll need a var underscore init. No, again, not of that. See, this one's not a var. This one would in fact be the function. So func underscore init, init void. Now we have to determine our inputs. Do we have nice little default inputs for init here, where we could say, right. Okay, let's see. 2 underscore filter. I'm gonna do this in a dumb way. Oh, right. And your default value would be none. So if 2 underscore filter not in filtration dict print we'll have to make more. We'll end up making better ones. Return, I guess. And oh wait, no, we can do this one through an else here. Else we do filtration dict within parentheses 2 underscore filter equals currently just 1.0 because we're gonna just dumb and simple enough. Also, ei vittu se kaatu perkelet for when Kekmet flips over. Yep. Oh shit, it fell down. God dang it. And what are you coding? I'm working on my sort of long-term game. We started this year because the past year we've been doing game jams almost every weekend. On the Sundays doing the try jam, so a 3-hour game jam, making a quick little game in 3 hours. So this year I started a new project of we'll do a long-term game project now. So now I'm spending a lot more time, behind the scenes, just writing code, trying to figure out data structures. How does the logic of the game work? The very first time we built something that we can have we can test the game out in. So, top down thing is moving around, and you can make little attacks. The attacks don't fly forever, and there's an enemy which is a red cube, which can simply detect getting hit. No, not when I'm speaking Spanish. Very well. El pequeño gatito es lindo. I don't know what that means. The game would be a sort of top-down sort of Vampire Survivors, Mega Bonk. More, I guess, like I was saying, more brotato-like in that way. Where there's levels, there's probably a timer. You spend an X amount of time there, you fight enemies, you harvest some kind of drops. You get progression. The core mechanic that I want to focus on is inspired by Noita, in the sense that I want you to build your own attack by using these components. Instead of that one, when you build it using spells, the idea here is you build the actual spell. So it's a bit more granular. And that is why so there's like this rune circle. With different rune circles, you can make more complex things. So so we have like progression. And then you unlock more rune circles, which have more slots, which can do some other stuff maybe. We'll find out when we get there. And then you also then end up unlocking more runes, which can do more complicated things. So the idea is that we have a power source, we have a filtration system to make sure that we have we can make an attack of a certain kind of element and not the others. And then there's like a rune that determines what shape does our attack take. Is it do we fire like a bolt of fire or something, or a beam of fire? Or is there like some kind of area of effect thing? The little kitten is cute. El pequeño gatito es lindo. Ah, very true. Most kittens are cute, so I find that to be a universally true statement. And and at the same time, we're exploring a lot more what happens behind the scene in Godot, because so far I've been learning a lot doing my game jams. A lot of it has to do with how I have to control myself and not get too lost in the weeds in trying to get a project to a minimum viable state, which is what we're doing now. But at the same time, now finally, because I have all the time to do it, we are learning more about more complex, like I said, information structures inside the game, like how to make actually a bit better use of Godot as an engine, and it's how it handles resources and turns them into sequences, serializes all that, and all that cool stuff. The little kitten is the devil. Gatito, the cat devil. The devil kitten. El pequeño de gatito es del diablo. El gatito el diablo. Tu madre. ¿Por qué, Maria? ¿Por qué? Those are a lot of words that I definitely understood. Well, thank you, Sosgard. The brain. Oh, if that's your brain, then at least you're having a good time. Good on you, Sosgard. But yeah, how to simplify it? We've been doing a lot of very small projects for the past year. Now we're doing a big project and trying to learn, like, well, now let's make something that's actually complex. Something that would actually have a settings menu, a volume slider. I still don't know how to do that. I have no idea how to do things like, I know, keybinds. A lot of this, which is, for those who don't know how it is done, I guess, might seem and feel like a little like boring background stuff. But for me, having doing this for a while, I'm annoyed at the fact that I can't figure out how to do a volume slider. I mean, I think I can, but I'm afraid of my solution would be, well, silly. So we're going to find the best ways to do all these, delve deeper into the whole concept within game design, and making a slightly more complicated, if this then that sort of logical system of build your own attack based, horde shooter. Very simple. Hey there, Word Duck. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Soy lo bueno con español. Hola, amigo. Just did a long run out to get some progression done, and I manage. Then I get back to the base, and a bear kills me. So much progression lost, so much work lost. Oh no! Run away. And a bear kills me, and progression was lost. And you always do silly solutions before you'll get to the pro level. Absolutely, Word. That is what we do. Yes, I make dumb shit that kind of works, and then we prune it down and try to figure out how to make it work better. All right, just looking for some other devs trying to do some stuff. Hey, no, thank you. Yeah, usually we do 2 hours a day. We've done we're almost at 2.5 hours. I'm gonna try to finish this one. Yeah, so the core concept of the game here is... Oh, Krillian saying, Hanna, I will always love your voice. Truly soothing. If you did videos just reading through C documentation, I would fall asleep to this. Ooh. Why, thank you, Krillian. Maybe I should. Maybe I should do a book reading. I make YouTube videos, me just calmly reading books. Or like aggressively reading books, we'll see. But it could be fun. That's also something I'm sort of looking forward to eventually try to figure out, okay, then we have game, we have audio, do we do voice work? Do I need to like hire people? Can I ask people nicely? Or should I just do all my own little I'll do all the voices. I think that could be even more fun, at least for this start. Because it doesn't look like Unity. Ah, hello, yes, this is Godot. We are on an older version because I haven't been bothered really to update. So if so, I could request Lord of the Rings. Ah, well, Sourcecard, I would love to, but I do believe that is still under copyright protection. So we can't do that one. Scream reading books. Yeah. As long as it is something on the public domain, I guess I could do a reading for it. If you find those books, old enough, you know, the Cask of Montenegro, those like slightly older classics. I don't know. I put it on the Discord. And if if you guys have interest for it, why not? I'll do it. I'll do it for you, chat. So you're not even allowed to read it? You're not? No. I have a lot of old books. Not a public domain. Yeah, exactly. Old books from the 1800s, if I recall. Yeah. I have some older books as well, and don't hesitate to ask if you need some work done, voice or otherwise. Well, thank you, Manaway. Thank you very much. I most likely will start asking, around for help for, from all you generous people once we get to that point. But that is then. We have 1 entire year on us to build a game. And yes, Werdak, sorry, I keep on forgetting to answer your thing. Doing a reading will account like doing an audio book, which may go against possible cost in lost income. Exactly, Werdak, yes. Because if I do a reading of a book, that is literally an audiobook. And that is why, yes, I will not risk it in anything, in any illegal thing. So if I'm reading something, I want to be 100% sure it is in the public domain. So older things. The good thing is there's a lot of really good old books out there. Who knows? I'll read some old Grimm tales or something from the 1800s or 1600s. Yeah, I'm not fucking with the law. Or let's put it this way: I'm not fucking with rich people's lawyers. No. But yeah. And then what am I making? I'm working in Godot, which I started on Monday. On the first day, I did a little testing platform, and now I'm trying to get the mechanics to actually function here. Now, the idea is, like I said, testing platform. Super, incredibly simplistic. So first day, do a little polygon dude. You can run around. The idea is for currently top-down, maybe we'll do 2.5 sort of stuff. But, you have a dude, it runs around, he will shoot your attacks, so you have enemies. Boom. So essentially, kind of like, say, Megabonk, Vampire Survivors, but I was thinking it'll probably be closer to Brotato, so most of the progression happens between runs, if you will. And the idea is that we're taking a lot of inspiration from Noita, in that where you craft your wands using a series of spells. Here, you have one spell, and you craft that one using a series of runes, then you have a power source, which gives you the magical power. In our current testing that we're trying to build, we're currently trying to build that logic to hopefully function, so we can then create different kinds of attacks depending on the combination of runes. We need a power source, we need a filtration source, so we can make sure we get the correct element that we want. Then we have what I'm currently calling just a projection rune, which decides what form does the attack take. Are you shooting like a bolt? Or is it a beam? Or is it an AoE effect around you? And eventually, hopefully, we'll have a sort of complex, robust enough logic system so we can even have carrying some logic from the launch of the attack to the destination, causing an explosion. So that could be an AoE thing, but it's then tied to the bolt. So first you shoot the bolt, it reaches this destination, and then the last part of the attack gets triggered into an explosion. But that is then. Right now, we're trying to do the most basic thing. I only have 3 runes, and my GDD is I draw it by hand here on Krita. Every day we add a little bit more, but was it here? No. So the idea is we start with number 3. So visually it is a circle. In practice, we're just traveling through an array, and eventually, hopefully, we can do a more complex thing, which will look, adequately magical, and then we'll have multiple connections between these nodes, which could hopefully then allow for more complex behavior and attack design kind of thing, where you alternate between elements, and that would allow for doing things like using multiple types of elements in the same attack kind of thing. Love those kinds of games, like Spellcraft. I've heard that many times now. I need to check that one out apparently, so I'm gonna write that one down. Because it sounds so familiar, yet I cannot see it in my mind's eye no matter what. I get that, sounds interesting. I'm glad you like it. I like a lightning strike, where it does an auto hit kind of thing. Interesting, yeah. Because I was thinking it would be interesting, how do you direct lightning? It's very difficult. So what if you first have a sort of quick succession of attacks? So the first one you combine, say, in the beginning we're using the classic four elements of elements in Western fantasy of fire, water, earth, air. Hopefully we'll add more complexity to all that eventually. But if you do if you combine, say, first like water and fire, and you make steam, and that makes like a beam, and then you launch an electrical attack, lightning attack into that, and then you have something that conducts the electricity to make sure it goes where you want it to, and that kind of logic, eventually. So it's, increasingly mechanically complex, like puzzle solving. So it is, a sort of build engineering game with, resource harvesting and enemy fighting in between your build designs. Is what I'm hoping to achieve. We'll see if it works out. Now you go away, and we were looking at the scripties, looking at the character body 2D. Now this is the player. I don't give a shit about this one. We looked at that one. Rune filtration. We're jumping into here. So currently we'll have a perfect filter of 1.0 for element of choice. Otherwise, print a invalid filtration string in Rune. And yeah, we'll add more details eventually. And okay, I was thinking that if you would get the lightning bolt, you could charge for X amount of time, then select like the closest X enemies based on the length of the charge, and then does a lightning storm kind of thing. Would be interesting, high risk, high reward stuff. Yeah, maybe we'll figure out a way to make that happen. The point is, I want this to be so like modular and granular enough so that the most basic attacks already would require some logic. That's why I think, like, I don't want a lightning bolt spell to exist unless you can make it. It's just lightning, perhaps as an element. But in what form do you deliver the element from beginning to end? That's up to you. Because because if you had just had the lightning bolt as a like pre-made spell, well, then you're more in like Noita territory, where you have a sequence of spells that then end up having a more complex interaction and reaction, and so on. For this one, I want it to be, challenging to even make a simple lightning bolt. And then eventually, hopefully, we add more runes, add more complexity, add more like possible rune circles. Maybe we have circles inside circles, so one single node actually contains an entire rune circle for even more complex internal behavior, which I think could be neat. And then when the entire thing is done, there will be leftover magic, essentially, the unfiltered magic, and which is like the waste magic, the inefficiency of the system, which will eventually determine your cooldown on your spell as well. Just magic kind of stuff. Yeah. We're, the first week of this, I started this Monday, so, it's only been a few days. The idea is one that's been bouncing around in the back of my head for years, to be honest, so that's why I want to finally make this magic crafting system. Now, what the hickety heck am I doing? Am I looking at here? Right, I'm doing this thing. Now, yes, the ADHD is real. I keep on getting distracted, and it's a-okay. I have a year for this one rather than 3 hours for my other projects. Alright, so what does the activation of this rune do? We're grabbing that one from the prototype, so we're writing for this one. And I wonder how you put that into a 5-slot circle. Yeah, we'll get to that eventually, because right now we only have the 3 runes, because I want to make even the basic core function, and then we'll be adding and tweaking. And thank you very much for that follow, the Wereduck. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And look at that, you pushed me right past that heckin' follower goal. Nice, 770 followers, Jesus. I've been doing this now for technically, I've been doing this professionally for a year now because of the affiliate anniversary, so professional means getting paid for it. And the hope is that by the end of the year, I'll get this to a point where I can sell it. It doesn't have to be completely finished. We can do it, an early access kind of thing. But the point is to turn from, what I keep on calling myself an amateur game developer into a professional game developer, because the difference there is getting paid. And that's what I hope to achieve. And when they talk about the system, it sounds really awesome, but I think it's going to be a pain to implement. Most likely, yes. And that is why I'm approaching this sort of, I want the system is the goal. The sort of combat system would be really cool to work on all the other stuff. But I gotta have like one focus at a time, because otherwise I'll stretch out myself out too thin and achieve hecking nothing. So for now, I want to make my magic crafting system work. And if you need a tester, give me a shout. Been doing this game testing for over 4 years now. Ooh, thank you. I'll keep it in mind. When we eventually get to that point, it will be a while. And if we get it to, a simple enough game, the goal is to hopefully eventually get this up on Steam and everything, but that'll most likely not happen during this year. So if we get there, that would be amazing. If not, well, then by the end of the year, the goal is to get it at least to itch.io in a state where I won't be too ashamed to ask for at least a couple of dollars. Or pay what you want. As soon as, the point is, by the end of the year, I want to get paid at least something for a game I've done. So I can call myself a professional. Wow. So we got a similar goal for the year, my dude. Hey, that is excellent, Werduck. Glad to hear it. Yeah, but I still do the whole streaming. I have the ADHD and the depression and all that stuff. That is why I'm restricting myself to a minimum of 2 hours every day that I stream on this project. Because right now, we're going overtime, and it's okay to go overtime, but a minimum of 2 hours. But if I do just this, I'll burn myself out. I've done it before. And also, I've found that doing the streaming is actually very handy for a aspiring and learning game developer because of the wonderful people like all of you in chat, because I keep on learning more. There's so much that I don't know. Unknowns are tricky because I can't even search for the answer to a question I do not know exists. That is why it's handy having people helping me out. Distraction, that is true as well, and hopefully it'll be entertaining for you, as entertaining for you as it is for me. But get there. And learning more is awesome. But I have an idea. You could also have placeable items that you'll boost your spells, like little nails that could boost lightning AoE, or gasoline that leaves lasting flames. Of course, much later down the line thing. Oh, absolutely, Krillina. That is a fun idea. Yeah. I know my brain makes shit up a lot. I'm gonna spew sometimes. Hey, no, Krillin, absolutely feel free to, spew out random ideas. I get sticky ideas sometimes, and sometimes I get, embarrassed about, I need to say this to you. I know this is, you most likely did it already. 50 people have already told you this, but I must say it. It's it's that hamster wheel kind of thing, but it's gluey and it's spinning, and it needs to come out. So I got to just ask the obvious line, have you tried this? And they're like, yes, I've tried the thing. I'm sorry I asked, but I had to. Happens sometimes. What? And Knapp was saying, is that really the definition? If no one buys the game, are you still an amateur? Yes. A professional gets paid. An amateur does it for the love of the craft, if you will. So I guess you can be a professional and an amateur at the same time, as long as you're getting paid for it. Because a professional does it as a profession, and what describes a profession? Getting paid for goods and services kind of thing. And you don't. That's why I started doing the same reason. Hey, nice one, you did. Well, we're not in that case. Let me see if I can do a little bit of clickety and the clackety, and there we go. Followed you right back. Got to follow all the other dev things so I can also hopefully join in there. There's so much to learn. And the only problem I have with this is I wanted to follow you with my own project, but you stream when I work. Oh no, Sakira. Well, I can't really change my timetable because it's also, the one that fits in my life. But you can always follow sort of, what's the word? When things are happening in parallel but not at the same time. Cheers for that, but at least we can learn some logic in between the streams because we're doing stuff in Python or GDScript. I mean, I'm using, GDScript, the Godot's own language here. And yeah, absolutely, we're going to join the Discord. We're feeling a lot of folk in there. Oh, thank you, Krillionaire. Yeah, there's a Discord. There should be beneath the stream, the clickety-clackety. And because I'm working with Unity, so I'm doing stuff in C#. Yeah, Word, yeah. I mean, the logic is the one that I really care about more than the, details of the language. Because the logic is usually always, infinitely transferable between languages, between projects, whereas the language and specific, functions used and so on can be really project dependent. So, yes. Hey, C#. Oh, I never tried C#. Well, I mean, I've tried C# once or twice for very small things, and I remember I had some difficulty getting it, but that was earlier in my coding learning. But yeah. let's do it this. Oh, wait. Isn't there like a crazy simple way to do this? Because I do believe inside elemental power, we had get filtered. And it returns a copy. Yes, so that is what the thing does. So then we look at the elemental R we just got. Elemental R 0, which is always the unfiltered one. Then we get filtered and we add to it, give to it our filtration dictionary. And yes, I know we can do things more simply. I like, oh, I know also, yep. I know you can do things much more succinctly, but I like trying to make things as sort of visually and linguistically obvious as possible when writing things. When writing my code, because I can easily get distracted and forget stuff. And when I return to a piece of code I wrote like a while ago, I find it very annoying because I will do it and I have done it, when I write it in an unclear fashion and then I have to spend some time staring at it and like walking through the logic to understand what exactly it does. And that's why I like having things like just very clearly separated as much as possible. Whoa. I love the C languages. Yeah, well, the first language I learned was just C. And C# is technically more of a Java-like and a C-like. Ooh, on the YouTube side, I'll get you soon, sorry. Okay, Discord, and thank you, Warrior Duck. But I worked in C++ as well when I was trying out Unreal. Ooh, I would like to learn C++. Unreal pretty much to just learn more C++. But I've gotten into Godot because it is, well, light and cheap. And my rig is 10 years old. And when I try to like start the Unreal editor, it chugs. Sorry, and then done a couple of projects in Unreal and Raylib, the library for a pure C++ thingy. Couldn't say C++ hurts. Oh, it does. Oh no. And I love Raylib with C instead of CPP because CPP hurts, and C Enjoyer. And yeah, Unreal is really hardware heavy. Yeah, thank you. Now I've caught up with that one, chat. And yeah, I've only tried it a little bit, and I need to learn either CPP or C# at some point, I guess. Just and I need to learn the horrors of JavaScript as well. Because, well, I'm here on the internet and I need to write code eventually. I have things in my head I need to make, and they require interaction with the interwebs. And on the YouTube side, I have a question for you. I'm trying to figure out root motion view in Godot for 3D. I'm having trouble understanding how can I control jumping animation and character movement where there is no root. Minus motion and other animations like walking, running, where you have root motion. Well, Broom and Shifter, I'm sad to say, I've been like mucking about with Godot for like a year at least now. Or about a year, I'd say. Almost a year. I've done most of everything in 2D. The only thing I think I did in 3D was Bouncing Ball for like a rhythm game thing. So I have no idea. Terribly sorry about that one. I'd love to help, but yeah, 3D is an unknown space for me. For this one as well. That's why I wanted to do things in 2D here, because I feel like I'm comfortable enough here. Shame of thanks. Hey, no worries. Thanks for coming by and asking. I would have loved to help, but yeah, I haven't done any, and I haven't really done any complex animation either, really, to be honest. So that is everything that's why I've now wanted to start a proper, like, long-term project. Because, like I said, I've been doing for the past year the Try Jam. Sort of every week there's a game jam called the Try Jam, happens on the weekend, where you have like 3 hours to make a game. And I've been using Godot to use that one because it is, it's lightweight, free and open source, and easy enough to use. And I feel like I've learned a lot, like design conceptually, like I've gotten much better than I was at finding what is the minimum viable product. What is the minimum thing I need to make this thing work? And I can notice that one now, because every now and then I get tempted here. It's like, oh, well, what if in the future I want to do this? I should probably take that into account now, this design. And then I really realize, like, wait, no. We haven't gotten that far yet. If I try to predict future problems that might never happen, I'm just wasting time there. So at least for how I work in my scatterbrain way. So it's better to make something that kind of works now, and we'll solve the problem when and if we get to it. What? And then back to Twitchy here. I spent today making a simple clicker in Raylib actually, despite being sick. Yep, and congrats on that, Acrylinaire. Getting stuff actually done is always good. But to be honest, going Unity is a bit better than Unreal because you can still run around with 2D games because Unreal lost native support for 2D games. Ooh, that's unfortunate. And Unity 2D being actually 3D hurt me so bad when I tried Unity. Ooh. Neat. Ow. I can see how that could be tricky. And lol, I just remember that the first thing I was here for was a forklift game. That is very true. Yeah. And then and Godot gets really good traction within the new game developer space. Yeah, I noticed that one as well. And it's not that surprising because while Unity is a wonderful engine and it's made by wonderful people, the company has interesting management who do interesting choices, and they have now shown a clear history of, say, habits that they're going to try again. It seems most likely will, and that is why I don't think I would want to work with Unity for my own projects, just because it feels unsafe for the future. I'm paranoid. I will admit this. And that's why I like Godot. It is completely open source. No one's going to suddenly go like, hey, yo, we've changed the rules of the contract. Pray we don't change them further, kind of thing, later on. And I forgot to make the music for that game. Yeah, you did. And thank you again. It was super awesome. I have to make music for this one eventually too. There again, I will gladly accept help, but it is one of the projects I would like to at least try myself because I find it an interesting concept. Just like I need to learn, video editing, animation, making music. I don't have to make everything by myself, but I want to at least try making everything at least once by myself. Now, I'm looking at level. Yeah. What the fuck am I looking at? There we go. So the activate rune does that thing. Then we have the variable here for, let's say, filtered LMs, which is of the type elemental power resource, and it equals nothing for now. It's empty. And after that one, we do filtered underscore LMs is assigned the output of get filtered when applied to the element here, the unfiltered ones, because get filtered inside the resource there removes the filtered elements from the unfiltered ones and creates a new power resource with those values. Yes. And now we do then element array dot, we do the pushback because this one we want to make sure it goes to the back of it, the filtered elements. Even though I know, yes, append is literally an alias for pushback, but this is again one of those things because now that I know it exists, that it exists separately pushback and push front. I want to be sort of visually and linguistically as clear as possible, so that eventually, when I've forgotten how any of this works and I look at it, it'll be much faster to get back on track. So now our filtration rune, we do the activate rune, we give it the elemental power array, we create a new resource, like variable. Into it we assign the output from get filtered into in element array 0. And then we add it to the array, and we return to the array. Now, I'm not certain we need this bit at all, the returning. We'll get to it when we get to testing. Because they should be dealing with giving in and out reference. So this should work even without the return, as far as I know. But I'm not entirely certain, and that's why we have it there. Oh, and then we should do another check here. Where, before any of that happens, okay, we can do that one, I guess, first. Push back, push front, push whatever. The compiler might just do what it thinks is best and later anyway. Well, that's kind of true, except for see, because this thing has what? Here we go. Push back. Append an element to the end of the array. See also push front. Add an element at the beginning of the array. See also push back. Note this method shifts every other element's index forward, which may have a noticeable performance cost, especially on larger arrays. So be aware. But for now, this is a very small array of currently 2, or 1, or 0. Now, before we do this, we do if element r dot is empty, return element r equals true. Even though I know not adding this adds it implicitly, but again, visual, logical clarity. We can, make things streamlined later down the line. But okay, we've gotten now almost 3 hours of this. And this thing should work. Now the base, the power source, the filtration, will need inherits from rune base. We do rune underscore projection underscore class underscore name rune projection. My program is probably a nightmare to read, to be honest. Well, I mean, as long as it works for you, I guess. And yes, where you put your stuff is important, yeah. I was maybe thinking of push.
Death of the universe comes and I am still alive. It'll be like. Remember that fake Finnish person I was friend with? Then implosion.
Hey there, Reap. Hope you're doing well. Nice seeing you around. Well, I'm glad you will remember me doing the heat death of the universe. Even then. Program nightmare to read, and no indentations, no functions, just main and variable names like fart butts 03. Lots of indentations, just main. Usually decently descriptive variable names. Well, that's good, at least. I was thinking like variable names like just I, X, Y, T, and so on, and like just everything just one letter. I'm like, what? No. And they all share. Every function has X, Y, Z, T, I, and so on. Everyone. I just have to hope to remember which one of those am I looking at right now. And I keep upping the thing I say because Clay called me out for using the same one on him. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, Reap. Tricky, that one. Oh, yeah, and no, I do use I a lot. I for iteration. Yeah. And our best names of variables are random swear words. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I've done similar things, also like short variable names and things in the past, and yeah, that's why I like currently doing things the way I do, even though I know some people who like min-maxing and do a lot of lead code shit won't, find it, excessive use. Why use many letter when one letter do good? And like, yeah, but because when I look at my old code, I don't remember what I was thinking when I wrote it. I need to actually read the code, and that's why I need it to be as self-explanatory as possible. And also because I'm really bad at remembering to do, the smart shit, like adding comments and doing proper documentation. We'll do that eventually. Not really any comments. And I forgot who was asking. Then it was Doomrat. He was asking for where to learn C coding, told him to come here. Did that happen or what else? Well, it was a while ago. I think Doomrat has been here, yeah. I mean, I've seen him in the chat though. I think he's been here doing the deving as well. And you don't need comments if your variables and function names are named properly. Well, yeah, I do notice that. Like a sort of like self-documenting code is very handy, especially if you work with other people, but especially for yourself as well if you are, like me, a little forgetful and scatterbrained. I still like adding comments every now and then to like make things a bit even more clear kind of thing. Like sometimes, yeah, you have a very descriptive function, very descriptive variables, but there is still a logic flow within the function, so it'll be handy to just add a comment that sort of explains it. Hey there, Balin. Good morning to you as well over there on the YouTube side. Hope you're having a good day. We're probably switching over to gaming soon enough. Right now, yeah. What should we do here? Also, I'm proud of myself. In Stellaris, I managed to destroy a baby faction and make them my vassal. Ooh, nice. Well done, Reaper. I sometimes do the vassalization, but, well, it depends really how the wars go in Stellaris. And if you name your function doing stuff, it's meh, but if you'll do jumping, yeah. And I can give you my GitHub and see how angry you get them at code lol. And I like the idea from clean code. You can also check the code if it's good or not by checking amount of what the fuck per line of code. Yeah, I like that one, Burdock. That is a fun one. Yeah, clean code has a lot of good ideas. I read part of it. I should finish that book one day. And also, yeah, you might have noticed so far, but I also then like to try to keep my functions also as small as possible, in the sense like every function should try to do one thing, also a clean code type of thing. So not having one like mega function that does all the things, but try to have everything like as isolated as possible into individual functions, because again, that makes then future debugging easier, because then if I do some changes to this one is broken, I don't need to worry about the rest of the stuff, just one thing at a time. Should help that one. Reaper saying I'm militaristic necromancer, so I'm next time I claim a planet, which if we're using gonna airdrop the undead who killed explode. That sounds amazing, Reaper. That sounds pretty funny. And that was based on my engineering thesis. Hey, cool. Nice. Solid coding principle. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was advice I got from old friends who are long professionals with a lot of experience in coding. Also, like you try to make sure every function does one single thing at a time, if possible, because it makes debugging easier, makes it easier to read, and it makes it easier for you to understand what the hell is going on. Check thing, yes, no, and it says yes, no, return. Excellent. A one file God script that does everything. And hey there, Ember After Dark. Hope you're doing well. And yes, that is, I guess that is how many, if not most of us, start our coding journey, doing like the one code that does it all. And everything is named, with absolute madness. You wrote it when you were drunk. You don't even know what it does, but it kind of works. The output is correct. You don't know why. Don't touch this file. Yeah. And can I drop my GitHub somewhere in your Discord and let everyone look at my subpar programming lol? Absolutely, Krillin. Feel free. Yeah. I should create a new GitHub for, the Son of Hondo name or GitLab. I'm not sure yet. And then for this project, because currently it's all saved on my machine, and that is bad practice, mind, because I think I have the add-on that allows for GitHub to be done through Godot's the UI system here. We'll need to get there. Listen, I worked on some really spaghetti code game, and trust me, some stuff is not fixed because the guy who wrote it doesn't work anymore and no one wants to touch it. I can totally understand that word. Yeah. And a few days ago I found my old code. Everything was public, static, and spaghetti. Oh dear, Zankira. And Knapsaurus is saying, yes, the GitHub that I definitely have created. Yes. Well, at least then I don't feel too bad about not having GitHub for myself right now, because it's been less than a week. And I'm so used to doing this, like I said, the 3-hour project, or 3 to 5 hour project of once a week. That shit don't need a GitHub. It's done and it's out. And I guess I should add a new channel on the GitHub for coding. Thing is, this is now gonna be a long-term mainstay on the channel. But oh dear, it's been 3 hours and I need a little break, by the way. Well, hello there, Miniomi. How you doing? Hope you're having a lovely day. Only problem I have with the Git is sucks at versioning binary files. Dang. Nah, listen, get used to doing GitHub and getting branches, because you'll need it one day. Oh, absolutely, yes. Good, how about you? I'm doing pretty well. We have gotten a lot of stuff done today, and a lot of that was just talking shit and procrastinating, but we still made some progress, so I call that a win. Others also doing well. And yes, I've used a little bit. I have a personal GitHub that I have not touched now in years, so it's a little sad. I'll have to go back there someday. And also, separation of things. So we have the personal for the old school stuff and some project I made, and then we'll have the new one for my work as Son of Hannu. And I'm pretty sure it'll be okay. And then yes, the whole branching and all that. I do know that is how the real world works outside of your solo projects. So that is also why I do want to make sure I learn to do that. And GitHub good for open sources, since I think people can see your stuff regardless. Absolutely, yes, Minium, it is good. But that is also what I was considering, small part paranoia says GitLab better because of the GitHub has Copilot, so they, any code you put there is fed into the generator. But then again, I'm not that good that it matters. If anything, everything I would put up on GitHub would simply contribute to making Copilot worse. Because the more bad code it gets, that makes the average, go down. Well, maybe I should put it on GitHub. That'll be fun. And yes, small steps, as long as you can write/create your stuff for your game, even if it leaves 10 minutes a day, gives you 5 hours per month, yeah. WTF license, my beloved. I don't know how that license works, but neat. And become a portfolio for future job possibilities. That's very true, yes. And to beat AI, you have to corrupt it. Yeah, because that's the funny thing about generative AI. Ultimately, what it can produce is the average. And because the majority is actually students, people learning and all that, the majority of the code is not that good, so the average is kind of low, so it'll be producing more not that good code, so it keeps on pulling its own average down, because it adds its own code into its own database, and then people like me go I will also GitHub, so I add into the corruption of adding more to subpar code. Hey, I gotta do my part. And WTPFL license, basically just take my code, do whatever I don't care. Oh, nice. Amber After Dark saying GitLab is better than GitHub. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. GitLab would be better for if you care about, owning your code kind of thing. But yeah, so it might be GitLab we go into, might be GitHub. We'll see when we get there. And do what the fuck you want. The public license terms and conditions for copying, distribution, and modification, 0. You just do what the fuck you want to. Yep, really name. Seems sensible enough. And Miniomi says, have you seen people edit their arts with adding tiny transparent squiggles? I call them basically wiggles of shapes, so whoever steals their art, their AI gets ruined. See, that Miniomi is clever. Because that's the problem. The AI is never the problem. It's not the tool. You can't blame the tool in, all the anti-AI stuff happening in the world. The tool is just a tool. It doesn't think any more than a hammer does. You can do bad shit with a hammer. Same as you can do bad shit with the AI. The problem is, the owners of those tools with the AI here, and the fact that they rewrote contracts and whatnot. They literally just steal so much stuff. That's the problem. Yeah, the tool itself is freaking amazing. Jesus Christ, generative AI, all the stuff that you can do, wonderful. The fact that it's all the cool stuff it can do is based on stolen shit, less than amazing. And that is why I find it funny people can sort of passive-aggressively ruin the data by make so that should it get stolen, which it most likely will because of internet, well, then their stealing ways will end up hurting them themselves. At least you know it has to be yours and have stuff working. You have to go pre-force. Never heard of pre-force. And like I said, currently mega amateur. So that's the thing. 'Cause I don't know if I care about the stuff I produce currently. Of course, you know, if you want it to be completely secure in your own, just don't put it in a public place. That's one thing. And all of my GitHub stuff is under the WTFPL license. Lol, anything I don't want anyone using is on my hard drive, or Google Drive, or Mediafire. Yeah. So Google Drive most likely is getting stolen already, so and it's the people, you're right. Yeah. Up to 4 contributors are free as far as I know, but it's a bit more complex, Imo. And it's Mediafire having a bunch of ads. I never Mediafire. This is the first time I ever heard of that term. Yay, going back to lurk mode and getting some of my shit done. Hope to catch you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, Werduck. And no, I will not be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm taking a day off. There's stuff to be done. But I will be back the day after tomorrow. So yeah. The day after tomorrow, I'll be back here. And I will be continuing the stream now for 5 more hours at least. So don't worry about that one. And the Google Drive works good too. Yep, nice. Pre-force solves the binary versioning problem, but comes with other issues, like now you have another subscription. That's a good point. And when I live on my own, I'm gonna set up a great big server. Keep all my stuff backed up in my own 4 walls. Fair. And in short, every time you commit a binary file in Git, it saves a copy of the entire file. Pre-force can diff the two and save just the changes. Ooh, that's handy. And you do not have to use the GitHub or GitLab, but you should at least Git in any case. Just keep track on changes and be able to revert or switch and try different approaches to problems. That's a good point, Skira. Sankira. Yeah. But that's the thing as well, because I'm doing this very publicly, sharing my code. If someone wants to see my code, they watch the stream. It's on. I'm putting it on YouTube. The watch are there for the foreseeable future. And that's what I was thinking, well, it could be interesting because in case someone does want to go back and look at stuff I wrote, and especially for this project, it would just all be there. I may do it a very public project here. I think that could be fun. And so we have a bunch of 4K textures that change frequently. It can explode the size of Git repo. That's a good point, Amber After Dark. That is actually a very good point. I wonder if I could just make sure that my Git uploads just don't take any textures. It only takes like the scripts. That could work. And we'll just have all the textures and things saved and backed up locally. I do have an external hard drive for backing up stuff. You don't commit binary to Git. Use ifs for that. ifs, yeah. And also there you go. The problem if you care about history. Well, mystery. I will admit my ignorance on the in this one. I don't know enough. Like I said, I've used Git a little bit with some other people. Mostly, I just use it to say what I was working, and then I haven't really branched or anything. So we need to add that to the list of many things we are using in this project to learn. But now, like I was saying, I do need to go have that tiny little restroom break. So I'll be right back, and you all can keep on finding out what way to Git is the best way to Git. See you soon. Of course, the answer is Git good. have returned. Oh, you are wild beast. And good night, Krillinair. Thank you for coming by and saying hi and chatting and sharing all your good stuff. It's been a fun time. See you next time. Sleep well, my friend. Now, what super love to make is Freddy's World Remaking C or FNAF 1 Remaking C. Oh, that could be fun. I would still commit binaries if you can get. Could be. I don't likely know enough. Almost commit binaries when we use PC actually. More typing. Oh. Yep. Alright. Now we're gonna do a thingy. I click it here and save all scenes. And we're gonna change over to gaming. So we're gonna switch over from here. I was gonna put you up to vote. Or do you guys want to put you up to vote? Or should I just go to Stationeers? I know I love the Stationeers. It's on my mind. I want to figure out how this stuff works in that one. Plant that new deep miner because we got the solar array that kind of works. The Sterling engines are doing Sterling stuff. And so on. None of this matter. I play, unfortunately, the fool. I always do git add dot. Thought I git ignore my build folder. Yeah. Well, I'm going to learn a lot more about Git eventually doing these streams. And no doubt about it, hopefully, I'll be both helped and judged by chat about my horrible habits. But hopefully, through combined efforts, I could learn something a little better. But okay. Let's just jump into Stationeers, because that includes adventures in space, building things, and hopefully even more coding, though in much lower level languages. We're doing in MIPS. And what's the good old title? Ooh, I'm gonna have to. Can I do it through here? There we go. I jump here, jump there, and then I chickadee here on here. As we try to find a good title for our shenanigans. There we go. So, what are we doing? We are gonna be we're doing that one. So we do I'm gonna call it copy this one and click on the done. There we go. So now the Twitch side should be updating. Now for the YouTube side, I'm going to try something different. So if for you all watching over there, be aware, I'm going to turn off the YouTube stream and then start a new stream with a new name. And hopefully that will allow me to, separate the two. Because I realize it's silly having like these streams with both deving and gaming combined in this way. So we might be doing that in the future, but today I'm trying this one because I saw blind to do this, and we'll see if I can figure out how all that shit works. So I'm gonna changing here into the live scene. Oh, as well. Yeah, YouTube only allows one stream title per stream. Exactly, that's the tricky one because I can change category names, everything on the Twitch side. It works perfectly. YouTube is like, no, this is it, no changes. But yeah, so YouTube. The stream is stopping now, and it'll be up again as soon as possible. See you soon, and hopefully you're still